Hello, welcome to the fanfic Majesty. 6 eats. 251 Foz is defeated, Fei Lu Pai surrenders. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. But now Foz is losing so fast, in almost 2 rounds, he is defeated by the opponent. From start to finish, it's all crushing. This is not a fight. It's a one-sided crush. Let no one see the slightest possibility of victory. Just thinking that they will be beaten like Foz in the future, the Fei Liubao really want to cry. To know this is going to happen, they went out with Kaido. Otherwise, things wouldn't be like this. None of you are fools. 1. Advertisement. Charlotte Linlin grinned, glanced around, and said coldly again, I think, you should also know how big the gap in strength is between you. How miserable was Foz just now? After Foz had learned from the past, the Fei Lu Pai had to agree if they didn't want to. Charlotte Linlin also said it wasn't a war. As a result, after learning the news, Kaido was immediately furious, and in a fit of rage, he destroyed a small island. You should know what to do next. 1. What? At this time, Kaido is bringing the main force and is preparing to go to Honeycomb Island. If they really don't agree, it's fine no matter what. In short, we still have to contact the governor quickly, this matter is really important. Advertisement. Why are you wasting so much time? Besides, I came here just to capture you, not to kill you. Who are you deceiving? Things have gotten to this point. A pirate said. After that, the Fei Liubao were helplessly bound by the soul fruit, and they were handcuffed and taken away by Charlotte Linlin like hostages. Charlotte Linlin said seriously, if Kaido comes back later, you must tell him that I did this for a reason, not to fight him. I believe. Charlotte Linlin took out a phone bug in the shape of a cake island, threw it into the crowd, and said, if he wants to contact me, he will use this phone bug. Charlotte Linlin smiled and said, I now give you a task, as long as you can do it honestly, I promise not to shoot at you. 1. If that's the case, why don't you agree to come down and avoid a beating? If you don't get it right, you'll be beaten up too, DAAA. Advertisement. Follow closely. The Beast Pirates repeatedly said yes, as if they promised to complete the mission. Beast Pirates, look at me, I look at you, in short, everyone is at a loss. It didn't take long for the attack on Oni Island to reach Kaido's ears. Charlotte Linlin's goal is only to fly 6, and she doesn't care about other people at all, and she doesn't want to destroy the Island of Ghosts at this moment. Whoever this is, doesn't want to be beaten for no reason. Charlotte Linlin rolled her eyes and called some beast pirates on purpose, saying, do you know why I'm looking for you? At the end of the day, even at this point, Charlotte Linlin still doesn't think Kaido will go to war with her over this kind of thing. They are not without eyes to see. After explaining these things, Charlotte Linlin walked away and disappeared from everyone's sight. These beast pirates who were brought over shook their heads one by one, panicked in their hearts, for fear that they would be beaten like Fei Luan. Advertisement. 252 The strongest creature, furious. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Kaido hasn't been this angry in a long time. There is a fire burning in my heart. With just one punch, the beautiful island was smashed into pieces. The pirates here are all terrified. Trembling. The legs are shaking. Anyone who is a fool can see that the current governor is really angry. If they say the wrong thing at this time, they may be directly obliterated like the island. Kaido was very unwilling to glance at the direction of the Honeycomb Island, sighed and said, forget it, let's go. It's true information. Advertisement. Akainu took a cigar and said, what I can tell you is that this piece of information is true, and it has been confirmed by people at CPI. No, isn't the relationship between the two of them very good? How did it become like this? The pirates' vice admiral were dumbfounded, and once suspected that they had received false information. As soon as this sentence came out. But, whether it's Charlotte Linlin or Kaido, both of them used to be Rock's pirate guys. Can't stay like this any longer. Perhaps because of the destruction of the island, Kaido's anger was much less, and his expression gradually softened. This is inexplicable, why did it suddenly come to his territory? Intuition tells them that this is by no means false information. Originally, the Kronos incident was enough to bother us, but at this time, the two of them also started fighting. Advertisement. Everyone, go back to the Island of Ghosts. They have long received news that the two forces may reach an alliance. Therefore, for such a big event, the inner ghosts there must also do their best to make Akainu and the others happen. 0 for flowers. Oh. My god, what the hell happened, so that the two imperial groups made things like this? In other words, the Charlotte family is very likely to fight the beasts. There must be a problem with this. If there is any special move, then naval headquarters can get relevant news here. It's all the kind of old people who don't get along. Marine has been keeping an eye on the two detached forces, the Beasts Pirates and the Charlotte family, and has secretly dispatched a large number of scouts to collect intelligence on these two forces. Advertisement. Since the two of them became the four emperors, although there were frictions and conflicts between their forces, they never fought a single battle. The reason why Marine is so quick to master this vital information is because they have already installed several Marine spies on the island of Oni. There is something wrong with the atmosphere in the conference room. 0. Didn't come to fight, didn't take away some supplies from the island of ghosts, just captured and took away all the Fei Liubao. The bosses of naval headquarters are all dumbfounded. This is good. How did the Charlotte family and the Beasts Pirates fight? The sudden incident of the attack on the island of Oni was basically less than half an hour, and naval headquarters knew about such a thing. So, of course, it is possible to join forces like this for profit. What is this all about? And now, Charlotte Linlin actually took the initiative to run to the island of ghosts, and captured the 6 core backbones of the 100 beasts in public. This time, the world is really in chaos. I really don't know what will happen next. Kaido's eyes twinkled brightly as he wondered what Charlotte Linlin's intentions were. Advertisement. 253 The two imperial regiments are about to fight. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Or maybe we don't know about it yet. The old woman and the lunatic quarreled because of some things, at the point of going to war. Everyone was shocked. If Akainu's judgment is right, then, the world situation is really getting more and more chaotic. Why are there wars everywhere? Kronos and Whitebeard are going to fight, and old rivals Kaido and Charlotte Linlin are going to fight too. Many people in September 17th sighed. Fortunately, Shanks is an unambitious pirate. If even this guy has any action, the sea will be extremely chaotic now. A vice admiral raised his arm and asked weakly, "Then Mr. Akainu, what do you think we should do next? Just let the two of them fight." Instead, Akainu asked back, "Otherwise, what do you think? Is there any other way we can do this? Just about Kronos, it's enough to bother us. There's no extra energy to deal with other forces, right?" Advertisement. Akainu's words were spoken in the hearts of everyone. Yes. As Akainu said, they no longer have any extra combat power to deal with the struggle between other imperial groups. After the Summit War, their marine can be said to be severely damaged, and their combat power is not as good as before. There are not many combat powers that can be used at hand. Marine Admiral, straight from 3 to 2. It was Marine's weakest time in decades. Even 40 years ago, when Marine faced the Rocks pirate, it wasn't as difficult as it is now. Because in this era, there is a guy who is countless times scarier than Rocks. Advertisement. That guy, his name is Kronos. 5th Emperor. Although the world said that Kronos was the 5th Emperor, within Marine, it was not as simple as the 5th Emperor. If it goes on like this, Kronos will replace Roger sooner or later as the equally terrifying pirate. Just a remark after Roger's death made the sea mess like this. But if Kronos did something similar, using his too much influence to do something to the sea, what will happen next, the Marine Vice Admiral can't even imagine. Therefore, their Marine's top priority is to think about how to destroy the Kamui pirates. Not only to report the shame, but also to prevent the other party from sitting big. On this point, the 5 elders also reached a consensus, and they all felt that the Kamui pirates could not be made stronger and stronger. Point 0. In a few more years, maybe the Kamui pirates will actually swallow their marines. Advertisement. If it really develops to that point, then they may have to consider whether they should join forces with their ancient enemies, the 4 emperors, to fight against Kronos. The chief of staff Crane suddenly said something like this: "I have always had a hunch that that guy Kronos will surpass Roger. Become the new One Piece." As soon as this 0.0 episode came out, everyone was in an uproar. Even the Crane chief of staff is so bullish on Kronos. Also claiming that Kronos will surpass Roger. Just when everyone was shocked, Akainu suddenly stood up and said with full vigor, "No matter what, we have only one goal now." Speaking of which, Akainu slammed the table and said the name. Kronos. Advertisement. 254 crew full of expectations. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Just when Marine decided to focus on Kronos and Whitebeard. The Kamui pirates have already stepped into the waters where the Honeycomb Island is located, only 1 kilometer away from the island. In less than half an hour, the Angel of Redemption will officially arrive on the island and confront the Whitebeard pirates. Obviously, the next time is to fight against the world's #1 man, but the crew of the Kamui pirates are very excited. Are you finally going to fight Whitebeard? Ha ha ha, I'm really looking forward to it. Uchiha Madara Akimbo, full of fighting spirit as always, can't wait to arrive at Honeycomb Island now. Senju Hashirama also thought of going with Uchiha Madara, and nodded in agreement, saying, 30 I am also looking forward to this battle. That pirate group can be said to be strong like clouds, and there are not many powerful characters at all. Good guy. Why did you suddenly say you want to give him a mission? Advertisement. At that time, a group of famous white team leaders may beat him to death like wild beasts. What's more, here, there is a strong man who is not inferior to himself, the Phoenix Marco. Kronos is so crafty. You go one step ahead and arrive at Honeycomb Island alone. Do you understand what I mean? To let him arrive at Honeycomb Island alone, isn't that just making him a cannon fodder to attract the attention of the Whitebeard pirates? If he does this, then all of the Baituan's combat power will treat him as the first target. Katakuri. What does this Kronos mean? Once the captains with their own abilities join forces, it is enough to make him die many times. Katakuri knows very well that none of the 16 white team leaders are vegetarians. Be it Whitebeard. Advertisement. The crew is full of fighting spirit. It's not an exaggeration to say that one is defeated. Kronos smiled mysteriously and snapped his fingers. Bang Ji-yu started to do warm-up exercises, looking like he was going to take action at any time. Or its pirate group. Hope you can do it well. In the Summit War not long ago, they shot the Whitebeard pirates and suffered heavy losses. Never fear the Whitebeard pirates. The rest of the crew didn't understand what Kronos meant. What was it that Katakuri had to do that the crew couldn't do? Katakuri sucked in a breath of cold air and almost fainted. Wouldn't this treat 917 as a cannon fodder? Advertisement. I give you a mission. Ji Guoyueni did not speak, but quietly said in his heart, I don't know where there is there any outstanding swordsman there? They are all like demons and monsters. But to the people of the Kamui pirates, the Whitebeard pirates are nothing at all. They are just defeated men of the past, and they don't need to be taken seriously. Looking at the blue sea in the distance, Kronos suddenly moved in his heart and thought of a good solution. Katakuri, who was sullen, suddenly changed his face when he heard this. For general forces, who made them really win? Wait. Katakuri is not only not a fool, on the contrary, he is a person of extraordinary wit. After a little brainstorming, you will understand what Kronos' intention is. Advertisement. 255 Never underestimate Marco. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Katakuri still knows his own strength. No matter how you say it, Marco is just like him, and he is the same existence as the Emperor. Katakuri's facial muscles twitched and said, I didn't say, you let me go there alone, wouldn't you push me to death? If you really want to fight for life and death, maybe after a few hundred rounds, Katakuri will not be the opponent's opponent, and you will be defeated. All Charlotte clansmen thought so, and they treated Albedo like a demon. Katakuri is so angry. Katakuri glanced at the clansman in the distance, but couldn't help but softened. Advertisement. There is always friction. In other words, as long as I don't see Fei Liubao for a day, you are still my spoils. Although everyone is the Emperor's deputy, Marco's combat experience is slightly better. By chance, Katakuri also played against Marco. In fact, they did not guess wrong, because in a sense, Albedo and demons are almost the same in nature. Can you still do this? Seeing that the soft can't be done, Kronos went straight to the hard and said, don't forget, the lives of your clansmen are still in my hands. As long as I have a thought, I guarantee that they will all be within 3 seconds. Die at my hands. If Nuo de Zhao, if he is alone, I am afraid that he has already turned against Kronos. How could he still do what the other party wants? Guy. Katakuri bravely agreed. So much so that when Kronos insisted that he go to Honeycomb Island and fight against those lunatics, Katakuri's first reaction was to think that he was going to end. Advertisement. I am qualified to decide your next fate. I've always been a Saiyan Dukun, you should know this very well. Kronos squinted his eyes and asked, could it be that you have no other choice now? Although the Charlotte people are resentful in their hearts, they dare not say a word. Because Albedo was looking at them with murderous intent, as if this mad woman would kill her if they said something cruel. All right. What happened at that time, Katakuri still remembers very clearly. It may be something he will never forget in his life. What kind of nonsense is this? Now, if he doesn't want to agree, he has to agree. But what are you doing now? Advertisement. Katakuri was so angry that he couldn't help scolding, saying, you can't go back on your word. Mother has promised you before, as long as she goes to catch the 6 flying cells, then you can't attack us. This woman is a lunatic among lunatics. However, after thinking that he did not agree with the other party's plan, the other party would kill his good brothers, Katakuri finally changed his mind. The relationship between the 4 emperors has not been very good. In that battle, if Charlotte Linlin hadn't rushed over in time, she might have died at the hands of the opponent. There will be fights too. Kronos shook his head and said, go back. Of course I didn't go back. What I said at the time was to let her exchange hostages with me with enough chips. Are you regretting it? I promise you, it's the kind of guy that makes people sweat. Advertisement. 256 Make Katakuri a cannon fodder. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. The thing that made Katakuri most speechless was that Kronos gave him a boat. Look at that boat. Tattered. Shaky. Maybe it will fall down in the next second. Although the probability of a sneak attack by the Kamui pirates is very low, as the saying goes, don't be afraid of 10,000, just be afraid of what happens. Squard grinned and didn't think anything would happen. He patted his chest and said loudly, Wydib, don't keep your face straight all day, things won't be so serious. At the same time, Whiteby was speechless to Marco. Why should she and Squard form a patrol team? In a sense, today's Kamui pirates are more threatening than Marine. Advertisement. It is clear that disaster is imminent, yet it is still so easy. Squard, I always have a very ominous premonition, and I don't know if this is an illusion. Uchiha Madara was silent for a while, then said, it's just that I think my life is too long. It's definitely alright, Dad, but the number 1 man in the world. Katakuri silently used the small boat, and staggered all the way to the Honeycomb Island. Even if those passing through this sea area are just some merchant ships, they will also attract their attention. Are you going to be a cannon fodder to get Whitebeard's attention? Who made the Kamui pirates so powerful and brought unprecedented pressure to the entire white group? Advertisement. He is a fruit person, and if he really falls into the sea, it is really a dead end. Don't be careless at all. Everything Kronos does is out of the way. Kronos nodded silently, but the corners of his mouth raised slightly, and said, let me see how capable this guy Katakuri is, I hope he won't let me down. If I'm not wrong, maybe I drowned on the way before I got to Honeycomb Island. No one knows what DAAA Kronos is working on. However, Whitebena didn't listen to a word of what Squard said. Instead, he felt that the other party was too stupid and had no sense of crisis. Whitebeard took a few deep breaths, looking extremely uneasy. Maybe the next second, Kronos will appear from a very special place and give you the fatal blow. Advertisement. The Whitebeard pirates' side can be said to be on guard, treating the coming strong enemy as a life and death enemy. What happened in the previous Summit War lockup may make them unable to let go for the rest of their lives. Wydib really didn't know if this guy Squard had grass in his head, so that he even said such a funny thing. Uchiha Madara couldn't understand Kronos' approach, frowned, and said, may I ask, what is your real idea of letting him go to Honeycomb Island? Kronos chuckled and said, what's the matter, are you afraid? If this guy Kronos dares to bring his own people here, I can guarantee that they will never come back. And just at this time, Whiteby and Squard were responsible for leading the team to patrol the surrounding waters. Who dares to underestimate the Kamui pirates? Katakuri is fluffy. Kronos said indifferently. In fact, even if I don't need to say it, you should have guessed what my real purpose of 917 is, right? So basically every period of time, there will be a pirate ship responsible for investigation out, always paying close attention to the surrounding sea area. Advertisement. 257 Ice Witch Whiteby. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Whiteby rolled his eyes, completely unaware of the intention of Marco's arrangement. Isn't this tricking her? She really would rather work with the other big bosses than with this guy. Right now. Suddenly, in the corner of Whiteby's eyes, a small boat suddenly appeared, coming towards them at a lightning speed. Then, what is that? Whiteby's face changed greatly, and the uneasiness in his heart became more and more intense. Huh, is it the enemy? Squard put away his comfortable state of mind, and exchanged glances with the men behind him with a solemn expression, indicating that everyone, ready to fight at any time. Soon, Whiteby and the others discovered that there was only one person on that boat. Advertisement. A man wearing a scarf with a fierce face and holding a trident. Because that person's reputation was so loud that when Squard and Whiteby saw each other, they couldn't help but say each other's names. Katakuri. After all, Katakuri is the second-ranked existence in the Charlotte family, and is the future heir of the entire family. The second in command of an imperial group, and a big pirate with a bounty of more than 1 billion. This kind of powerhouse, in their white group, is at least one of the top 3 existences. Maybe only the Phoenix Marco can come out and shock this person. Then here comes the problem. What is the famous young master of the Charlotte family coming to their Whitebeard pirates' site? Whiteby and Squard looked at each other and suddenly felt that something was wrong. The other party will never come here to catch up with them. So, what is the other party doing? A thought that neither of them dared to think came to mind. Katakuri came here to fight them. Advertisement. Squard was the first to react, holding a large knife, and scolded Katakuri angrily, saying, Katakuri, this is not the place you should be. Get away from me, or we'll treat you as an enemy. Just when Squard put down his harsh words, Whitebeard had secretly started to contact the Whitebeard pirates, passing them the news that Katakuri came here alone. Katakuri raised his head and glanced at Squard. That look. 0 for flowers 00. It looks like garbage. I'm sorry. 1. Katakuri said very seriously. Actually, I really don't want to shoot at you. The conversation turned. Just think that you are so unlucky. At this moment, I met a character you shouldn't have met. Perhaps, this is your doom. The expressions of Squard and the others changed greatly. Advertisement. Wait a moment. Doesn't this Katakuri mean to make it clear that he is going to attack them? Before they could react, Katakuri suddenly activated his ability and created a huge rice cake arm out of thin air. Like the arm of a giant, it swept over with terrifying power. Boom. The ship that Squard and the others were in was directly smashed by this fierce and domineering huge fist. The pirates on the boat fell into the sea one after another. There are also some more unlucky pirates. It was a tragic death under this punch. Escape on the spot. And a few unlucky ones. Even the corpse can't be saved. Who would have thought? Will the young master of the Charlotte family suddenly kill them? 0. Advertisement. 258 The Great Eddie Pirate, Squard. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Katakuri has a special identity. He is the face of the Charlotte family. His words and deeds can represent the whole family. And Katakuri is now behaving like this. You could say so. Declare war. This is declaring war on their Whitebeard pirates. As a powerful captain of the Whitebeard pirates, Squard's strength is quite impressive, and he has been in the New World for more than 20 years. 917, who is called the Big Vortex Spider by the world, has a certain reputation in the New World. If it is really just a waste, there will be no bounty as much as 200 million. Katakuri. Don't think you're amazing, we'll be afraid of you. Squard, outraged by the deaths of many of his crew members, said, Tell me, is this what you mean, or the whole Charlotte family? Advertisement. Did that old lady Charlotte Linlin ordered you to do this? Katakuri was very unhappy at first, but because of Squard's words, he became even more annoyed, and said, Tell me well, you are not allowed to insult mother like this. Katakuri, in anger, shot directly in anger. Flowing rice cake dumplings. Cut. In an instant, Skeward, the pirate captain under the white group, was instantly killed by Katakuri with one move. Squad is unbelievable. Bang bang bang. It turned out that Katakuri saw a part of the future and knew that Whitebeard would attack him at this time. So it was elementalized in advance and all the bullets were dodged. If Katakuri hadn't reacted in time and adjusted his position in midair, he might have fallen into the sea like this, and he would have been in a desperate situation. Katakuri, the pirate powerhouse with a bounty of more than 1 billion, was kicked out directly. He didn't think so. Advertisement. Boom. Boom. Ideographic comma. Although he is still conscious there, his combat power has basically been lost. A terrifying figure with blue flames descended from the sky at an astonishing speed. Squad himself still doesn't know what happened in that second of time just now. Don't be funny, how could this method work on me? In order to save Squad, Whiteby gritted his teeth, took out a special pistol, and planned to attack Katakuri from behind. When Katakuri is about to shoot, are we all going to die here? Really unwilling. Skeward held the big knife tightly, and there was a strong unwillingness in his eyes. Katakuri said lightly, he was beaten to death on the spot. Who dares to touch my brother? Advertisement. Even now Squad still wants to fight Katakuri, but he has no physical strength at all, and he can't even stand up. The gap between yourself and Katakuri will be so big. There is blood in the mouth. Obviously the situation is so dangerous now, but he can't stand up. How should he fight Katakuri? Most importantly, we are definitely not his opponents. Even if 10 of me are here, I can't beat him. Why? How could this be? In the blink of an eye, he was given a second by the other party, accompanied by a cold voice. However, Katakuri himself was unscathed. Whiteby is panicking. The 0.0 kick in the air hit Katakuri in the head. All 10 bullets passed through Katakuri's body, under the astonished gaze of the crowd. Advertisement. 259 Marco decides to shoot. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. The people who saved Whiteby and the others at this critical moment are naturally not simple things. It is a top powerhouse who has long been known to the sea. The first captain of the Whitebeard pirates. Known as the Phoenix, Marco. Is it Marco? No wonder. Katakuri steadied his body and set his eyes on Marco with fear in his eyes. With the observation hockey who can see the future, he can still make a sneak attack, which proves that the observation hockey of the Comer is not inferior to himself. Otherwise, it is impossible to sneak attack on Katakuri. Basically, the situation will be the same as the previous situation where Weedy 30 shells plan to attack, and it will end in failure. Tell me, Katakuri, what do you mean? Did Charlotte Linlin order you to come here and attack us? Advertisement. Marco slowly landed on the boat, with obvious anger in his eyes. No matter how clever and imaginative Marco was, he would never have thought of what happened. But, would you believe it if I told you that it was a last resort? The two brothers, Daifuku and 920 Owen, are from the same father as him. Any normal person can see that this white regiment's first captain is burning with anger. So wrong. In his opinion, this guy Katakuri should know that they are going to fight the Kamui pirates next. Let the Whitebeard pirates know that the Charlotte family doesn't really want to go to war with them. Who the hell knows that Kronos guy? Will he send someone to watch his every move secretly? To say that there is nothing tricky about this is definitely impossible. Now Katakuri is real and can't say a word of the truth. Advertisement. Kronos had warned him that if he did anything, Owen and the others would be killed. At this time, Katakuri really wanted to tell the other party everything he knew. He can't understand it at all. Therefore, Katakuri has a much better relationship with the two of them than other clansmen. Katakuri still knows that Kronos is a ruthless man who keeps his word. Why did Katakuri come here alone at this critical moment and fight their people? But, I can't blame Marco for being so angry, because Katakuri killed so many white pirates, and it is estimated that the casualties exceeded double digits. If Kronos knew all this, he would have killed all his brothers on the spot. Not to mention other tribes. The Kamui pirates haven't made a move yet, but Katakuri is the first to strike. Advertisement. Very helpless. Marco still has some eyesight, and he can see that Katakuri seems to have some difficulties, so he is forced to do this. Wouldn't he have betrayed Kronos if he had told everything at this point? Katakuri sighed. Marco couldn't even think about it. In this regard, Marco was not only angry, but also deeply puzzled. Even if only a few people died, Marco would feel distressed, let alone more than double-digit casualties. Thinking of this, Katakuri's eyes are really dark, and he can't tell if he is suffering. No matter how you look at it, it's very unusual. But it's triplets. Before they came here, Katakuri and the others had already encountered an existence that they absolutely could not provoke, and then brought great trouble to themselves. Advertisement. 260 Katakuri, surrender now. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Although Marco doesn't know why Katakuri did this, one thing is for sure, Katakuri did kill a lot of white pirates. His tone suddenly became extremely cold. I'm not going to surrender, you can give up on that. How can Marco not be angry? And more importantly, although Katakuri has an observation haki that sees the future that ordinary people cannot have. Don't go on, it's a pointless thing. Katakuri. Katakuri said coldly. Advertisement. Now this situation is not optimistic for the Whitebeard pirates. It can be said that there are enemies on all sides, and all forces are eager for Whitebeard to lose, promised, in this battle. Speaking of which, Marco changed the subject. With the blessing of the fruit ability, Marco has the upper hand in the next battle. How can Katakuri Ishin surrender when he reaches the Beehive Island? Don't look at their appearance on the surface, but in fact they are in a crisis, and no one knows what will happen next. Marco said lightly and continued, since this is a battle that you know will be defeated, why should you resist? Surrender as soon as possible is your only way out. You can't beat me for sure, so don't waste so much time, surrender as soon as possible. Even though everyone is a powerful emperor and deputy level, there is still a clear gap there. Marco, like many others, couldn't allow someone to kill his partner. Advertisement. In the following period of time, Marco, who was in a rage, can be said to be desperate, and fought against Katakuri at all costs. In a sense, everyone is not the same level of existence. The reason why Marco didn't want to kill Katakuri at this time was that the other party was the second person in the Charlotte family after all. If it is killed like this, it will undoubtedly offend the Charlotte family to death, and force the other party to the opposite side to buy. All the time. Even the death of a buddy would make Marco incredibly angry. In the dark, there are many forces, all eyeing the territory controlled by Whitebeard. So Marco still doesn't want to invite another enemy to his pirate group at this time, this is not what he wants to see. Marco really doesn't know why the other party is desperately resisting to this point, it's meaningless at all. Facing an opponent who can't be defeated no matter how hard he fights, Katakuri is really hard to say. The strength displayed by the opponent is much stronger than him. Advertisement. I can assure you that as long as you surrender obediently, I will not kill you. This is obviously not what he wants to see. What's more, he knew very well in his heart that once he surrendered like this, he would be discovered by that guy from Kronos. Then, the situation of his clan will suddenly be extremely dangerous. Just like the cold wind in winter, it makes people feel cold inside. In this way, with the defeat of Whitebeard, there will be a huge site vacated. Even so, since the other party refuses to surrender if he dies, then Marco just has to fight his life to capture this man. What's more, this time Katakuri killed a whole double-digit crew. Phoenix Fruit ability. But Marco also has special abilities. Advertisement. 261 Conspiracy and then move. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Marco's eyes twinkled. On the surface, the expression of the captain of the first team of the White Regiment was calm. But in fact, it is extremely uneasy inside. Now Kronos may lead the Kamui pirates to fight at any time, and the enemy's army may already be on the way, and it won't take long to come. If the Charlotte family is really offended, then the Whitebeard pirates will not only face the incomparably powerful Kamui pirates, but also face a Charlotte family. This is simply on the road to death. At this moment. Advertisement. There are 3 white team leaders leading 3 pirate ships to support Marco. Why are you here? Marco said in shock. One of the tall and mighty 920 men lit a cigarette for himself, and then slowly said, Dad thinks that you may not be able to handle it alone, so he sent us here too. Another middle-aged man with a thin body like a monkey said indifferently. Dad also said, I hope we can solve Katakuri as soon as possible, Otherwise, if the Kamui pirates come later, then we have nothing to spare. The power to deal with Katakuri. 1. Compared to Marco, who was slightly stunned, Katakuri seemed a little flustered, because he could see that the three captains who came to support all had very good real DAAA strength, enough to cause him damage. Life threat. Just Marco alone is enough for him. If there are 3 more powerful powerhouses, what should he do next? There is one thing that Katakuri guessed right. Kronos has used surveillance methods from beginning to end to see Katakuri's every move. Advertisement. Including every word and every sentence Katakuri said, Kronos could also know what the other party said at the first time. Of course, it's all thanks to Pain's special abilities. Under Pain's ninjutsu, all movements within these few miles could not escape his sight. This unique ability, even the extremely arrogant Uchiha Madara had to admire it, and sighed that such a ninjutsu is really powerful. I'm afraid that in this world, no one can do something like Pain, right? No matter how powerful the CPU is, in the face of Pain's unique ability, he can only resign himself to the disadvantage. At first, everyone really didn't know why Kronos had to send Katakuri to attack the White Tuan. Now that it happened, they all understood. In other words, Katakuri is the bait you sent out, right? Advertisement. Uchiha Madara put his arms around his chest and said slowly. Kronos hummed and said, with the bait of Katakuri, it is enough to make Whitebeard and the others suspicious, thinking that even Charlotte Linlin will choose to be their enemy at this time. 1. That is to say, this is an alienation meter. 1 Katakuri, how good it is to divide the 3 forces. If the 4 emperors knew about Kronos' plan, they would definitely be half-hearted, because Kronos just played the Sea Emperors in the palm of his hand. The crew realized that Kronos had good intentions. The first was to break up Charlotte Linlin and the Beast's pirates, preventing the 2 forces from aligning. Furthermore, the role of the chess piece Katakuri was brought into play to the ultimate, which gave the Whitebeard pirates an illusion. Advertisement. 262 The 4 Emperors. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. In this way, all 3 Sea Emperors were pitted by Kronos. What's more terrible is that maybe things have developed to this point, those Sea Emperors still don't know what's going on, they are all kept in the dark, and they don't know what's going on. Under this world, if Kaido, Charlotte Linlin, and Whitebeard, the 3 supreme pirate emperors can be pitted like this, or they are all 3 at one time, maybe only Kronos can do it. Marine. I'm afraid they all dream of being like Kronos, using all means to trick the 4 emperors. It's a pity that only Kronos can do all this from beginning to end. Marine and the others are destined to be unable to do these things. At this time, Pain seemed to have noticed something special, his expression changed slightly, and said, a few miles away from us, there is a marine warship. Advertisement. Their destination, maybe it's the same as ours, they're all going to Honeycomb Island. As soon as these words came out, the warlike crew members such as Uchiha Madara did not feel the slightest fear, but became excited. What? Even Marine is here. That's really nice. Last time I didn't kill myself, I've wanted to fight them again, and I don't know if I'll meet Marine Admiral. Uchiha Madara was instantly excited and could not wait to play against the Marine Admirals now. Like Uchiha Madara, Senju Hashirama also feels that things are getting more and more interesting, or what has happened so far is what Senju Hashirama hopes the most. Senju Hashirama said with a smile. It is said that there is a top strong man nicknamed Marine Hero there in Marine. I don't know if I will meet him next, I really want to fight him. Uchiha Madara snorted coldly and said, if it's Garp, then you should still die, because he is my prey, you are not allowed to rob him. Advertisement. Senju Hashirama was only interested in Garp, but after Uchiha Madara said this, he began to change his mind and said, okay, then we will see who can do it faster. Maybe you haven't even started, I've already killed Garp. Uchiha Madara got angry, why did Senju Hashirama always oppose him, and said, hey, what do you mean, do you have to snatch the prey with me? 0 for flowers 00. Senju Hashirama liked to see Uchiha Madara being angry, and he was very happy, and said, ha, then it's up to you to see your skills. If your skills are not as good as others, then don't blame others. Just as Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama were bickering, the rest of the crew also had distinct reactions. Point 0. Some want to fight Garp and Sengoku, the old-fashioned powerhouses, others threatened to defeat Marine Admiral, and some even claimed to wipe out the entire Marine fleet. Advertisement. All in all, everyone was confident and didn't think they were going to lose to Marine. Defeat. That is impossible to happen. Compared with the regular crew members of the Kamui pirates, the trainee crew members who had just joined the team and whose bounty was barely over 100 million were a little confused. The news that Marine might also be involved in this battle was a bolt from the blue for them, and they couldn't believe it. Feeling a little apprehensive too. Just one Whitebeard pirate group, they all think that's enough trouble. 0. Advertisement. 263 Marine heroes are nervous. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. If there is one more Marine, it may even attract other pirate forces. Wouldn't it be a chaotic war between all forces? Kronos shook his head, feeling that it would not be good to take action at this time, and said, if we take action at this moment, we will only be stunned. Pain made a gesture of wiping his neck, and said coldly, should we do it before Marine and the others find us, and give them a hard time? Let me put it this way, whether it's the Whitebeard pirates or the upcoming Marine, they're all our prey. The whole pirate group is very disturbed by this. Because they had already received the news, they knew that Katakuri had killed a lot of white pirates inexplicably. Just at this time, Xiao Yu, who was standing behind him, nodded slightly, as if he was ready to take action at any time. Even the old man who was called the Marine hero by the world couldn't help but feel a little nervous. Advertisement. If we really shot Marine at this moment, wouldn't it scare the prey away? What we have to do now is to wait for Marine and the others to send more troops. The old man really can't see it. Garp, didn't expect you to have a stressful day too. The atmosphere on Honeycomb Island was obviously a little gloomy, and the white group pirates here felt very uneasy. When Kronos said this, everyone already understood what the captain meant. Obviously, after Marine and the others are all there, they will all be killed. Just at 0.0 when Marco and Katakuri were fighting fiercely. Who will have the last laugh in this battle? Whitebeard, Kronos. After hearing what Kronos said, the trainee crew seemed to have taken reassurance pills one by one, and they all felt that what their captain said was too right. Advertisement. To say that you are not nervous at all is a lie. An old Marine Vice Admiral said with a hippie smile. 0. I wasn't afraid before, are you still afraid now? Kronos seemed to know what these trainee crew members were worried about, chuckled and said, you are obviously worrying for nothing. Back in the Summit War, we were a single force and swept both of their 920 forces. As if talking to himself. With such a chaotic situation, God knows what will happen next. So all the Marines are very nervous. These two people are not simple things. Advertisement. At the same time, the news also made them feel very surprised, and they also felt a little puzzled, thinking it was too strange. Because of the next battle, it will be a heroic world pattern. There are 5 Marine warships, which are moving fast towards the Honeycomb Island. Garp is very clear that the opponent they will face this time is much more dangerous than the pirates such as Rox and Roger. At sea level. Then, Garp looked away, looking in the direction of the Honeycomb Island. Pain Kronos said so, and it's hard to say anything, he sighed and felt very pity, and said, okay, I will do as you want. Kronos patted Pain on the shoulder and said, don't worry, there will be plenty of opportunities in the future. We don't need to be in such a hurry, don't we? Garp took a deep look at the old comrade in arms and asked, aren't you nervous? I'm quite nervous anyway. Advertisement. 264 Whitebeard's resolve. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. The white group pirates are puzzled, and they can't understand Katakuri's bewildering behavior. What does Katakuri mean? Why would you take action against them at this time? No matter how you think about it, it doesn't feel right. Some white team leaders thought this might be what Charlotte Linlin meant, planning to kill them when they were weak. There are also white team leaders who think that maybe Charlotte Linlin and Kronos have reached a cooperation agreement secretly, and they are preparing to deal with them. Otherwise, I don't know how to explain it all. According to normal people's thinking. Advertisement. In any case, Katakuri should not be out in this sea area, let alone attack them. If it was them, they would definitely take advantage of the situation when both sides were at a loss. This is what normal people think. Then someone chooses to jump out and die at this time and draw all their attention to themselves. In this way, not only did the Charlotte family not make money, but instead, it was cheaper for the Kamui pirates. Charlotte Linlin is a scheming hero though. But they didn't feel at all that the other party would choose to join forces with Kronos against them. I believe Charlotte Linlin is not a fool, and her subordinates should know what the current situation is. Kronos is definitely the most dangerous person on this sea, bar none. The threat level of this person is already higher than that of Whitebeard, the world's #1 man. In this case, the White Group pirates are even more confused. Why should Charlotte Linlin help the guy who is more threatening to him? Advertisement. All of this made the White Group pirates feel very at a loss, and even a little overwhelmed. When everyone was at a loss, Whitebeard came out to stabilize the military and took the initiative to whisper. Don't think too much, Charlotte Linlin will definitely not send his men to trouble us. As for why Katakuri does this, I don't know the specific reason. Don't forget, Charlotte Linlin and I used to be from Rock's Pirate. Can I not know what kind of person she is? After decades of friendship, I can probably guess what she will do. So this matter is definitely not from her handwriting, there must be something that we don't know about. After listening to Whitebeard's analysis, everyone suddenly realized. The more they think about it, the more I think what Whitebeard said makes sense. At this time, Joe seemed to remember something terrible, and said very uneasy. I don't know if Marine will send troops to participate in this war this time. What you need to know is that now 920 Sengoku has been replaced, and it is replaced by that Akainu. I believe everyone here knows that this Akainu is a dangerous person who does extreme things. 1. Advertisement. No matter what you do, it's extreme. It is foreseeable that Akainu's strategy will be more daring and adventurous than that of the former Marine. The crowd heard. All fell silent. Obviously their faces are a little ugly. Yes. Can they know? Is Akainu scarier than Sengoku? Sengoku is a normal person. Although everyone was enemies at one time, they still admired Sengoku, and felt that if it weren't for different positions, they wouldn't be able to get along well. Advertisement. 265 Akainu is too scary. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Uchiha Madara snorted and said, I think you should continue to see the prisoners, don't try to disturb the situation. Uchiha Madara jumped out immediately and said loudly. Gojo Satoru smiled and said, aren't you going to fight Garp? If that's the case, leave Whitebeard's prey to me, I have a strong interest in him. Let me explain first, if I meet Whitebeard in the future, let me fight him first. In a sense, the way he landed this time is somewhat similar to the way Whitebeard arrived at Marineford before. No matter how many forces will come in this battle. However, these 5 minutes can be quite a long time for the crew. 5 minutes left. Advertisement. As much as you come, hit as much as you want. The war is about to begin. This time, it was not Senju Hashirama who sang the opposite of Uchiha Madara, but Gojo Satoru. Kronos suddenly laughed. The Angel of Redemption is about to officially land on Honeycomb Island. Ilya just didn't have any intention of taking action, so in the face of Gojo Satoru's request, she agreed immediately. Or maybe they didn't even think about it. In addition to Uchiha Madara and Gojo Satoru, the other crew members are also full of interest, all hoping to win the heads of the white team leaders in this battle and prove themselves in front of their own captains promised. Tough. Advertisement. And all of this is clearly what Kronos wants to see, and it's a good thing that the crew is fighting. Because the diving function of the Angel of Redemption is so perfect that the White Group pirates who were in charge of guarding here are not aware of it at all, and at this moment, an enemy has been killed. Now, having said this, Wuho Satoru turned around, glanced at Ilya in the distance, and said, I'll leave this to you, no problem, right? Who is afraid of whom? Wujo Satoru seemed to have long expected that the other party would say such a thing, so he laughed and said, You can rest assured, I have already asked someone to help me deal with this matter. Kronos didn't choose to kill him from the front, but from such a place. Who would have thought that the Kamui pirates, who have always been domineering, would do such a thing? Almost every pirate thinks this way, and they all feel that Akainu and Sengoku are decisively different. I'm not afraid of them either. Advertisement. The nickname Akainu is so right, because the other party is really like a crazy wild dog, and when he sees a pirate, he will rush over and bite. If Whitebeard knew that his tactics were copied by him to deal with him, he might have a heart attack. Any pirates who have played against Akainu will be terrified. Whitebeard smiled and said to them, "In short, what we have to do now is to see what we can do, and I don't believe that we really have no choice. This person is completely, from head to toe, a mad dog full of danger." What Whitebeard and the others didn't know was that when they were meeting to discuss countermeasures, Kronos had already led his crew to the very core of the Honeycomb Island. If you have to use words to describe all of this, then you have to use the word living like a year to describe it. When he said the last sentence, Whitebeard unintentionally unleashed his powerful conqueror's haki, and his voice became agitated at the same time. "I am the #1 man in the world." 1. Advertisement. 266 The handle has fallen. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. The other side. After a hard fight, Katakuri can't beat Marco in the end. Defeated with hatred. Originally, Marco had the advantage, and Katakuri himself could not beat the first captain of the White Regiment, and there was an objective gap in strength. In addition, Marco is not alone with Katakuri, and he has several White team leaders to support him, which makes Katakuri's situation even worse. A fierce man put a big knife on his shoulder and looked at Katakuri with full killing intent. "I don't want to bring us more enemies until Kronos has been dealt with." Advertisement. Marco stared at Katakuri, and seemed to understand something. His face gradually became ugly, and said, I understand everything." No wonder. It's enough to give Katakuri a headache and don't know what to do. "That guy Kronos has arrived at Honeycomb Island. See what Marco said." What did Katakuri just say? It's no wonder that you, as the heir of the Charlotte family, would take the initiative to come to trouble us, so the problem is here. Now, what's the situation? Under these factors, if Katakuri wants to win, it will be more difficult than reaching the sky. There are also a few powerful White Regiment generals with a bounty of more than 300 million, who are staring at him, and there is a possibility of 920 shots at him at any time. Advertisement. Marco didn't want to kill Katakuri at first, so he shook his head and said, "You mustn't kill him. If you kill him like this, it will be very troublesome." After all, what Katakuri did offend them, making them really want this person to disappear from this world. At the beginning, Marco and the others didn't dare to believe that such a ridiculous thing happened. Obviously, the Whitebeard pirates and the Charlotte family have always had a relationship of no injustice and no hatred, so this shouldn't have happened. "Captain Marco, do you want to kill this guy? The Kronos in your mouth may have arrived at Honeycomb Island." 1. Do you have a handle in Kronos' hands, am I right? Even the murderous White team leaders could only sigh and feel a pity. In fact, in their hearts, they really want to kill the confidant of Katakuri. It's too late. The more Katakuri went on, the more bitter he said, "I hope you can understand my situation. If I don't do this, I'm afraid my people will all die at the hands of Kronos." Advertisement. As soon as this word comes out. So, for the sake of the clan, I had to do this. Just Marco. Maybe you haven't noticed yet. Following Katakuri's words, the things that everyone didn't understand before were instantly solved at this time. Katakuri suddenly laughed. Marco and the others' faces changed greatly. "Other than that, what can I do?" After being silent for a while, Katakuri revealed the truth, saying, "Otherwise, why do you think I would take the initiative to come and fight you? This is not my intention, but Kronos forced me to do so." It's not that Katakuri's problem is too big, or that the latter was careless and lost, but that there is really a huge gap in strength between them. Advertisement. 267 Kronos has come. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Now Katakuri's explanation has made Marco and the others realize a very terrible thing. If everything Katakuri says is true, where is Kronos himself now? The question is again, what is the reason for Kronos doing this? Marco and others face black. Wait, Kronos, this guy. Wouldn't it be to make noises? Everyone panicked. At this time, Katakuri sneered and said, "Could it be that you thought I would lie to you? There is absolutely no need for me to lie to you about this kind of thing." Without saying a word, Marco immediately told Baihuzi the news. "It's a big deal. 100,000 hurry." Not long after, Whitebeard, who learned the truth from Marco, was at first startled. Immediately followed, is to feel angry. Advertisement. An unspeakable anger rose from the position of the chest. Whitebeard is surprisingly angry. There are blue veins on the forehead. It's really been looked down upon. Kronos, he doesn't care about us at all. Whitebeard stood up as he spoke slowly. It's like Conqueror's hockey who can rule the world. It spreads out in all directions without any concealment. Boom. In addition to Conqueror's hockey, there's the terrifying power of shock fruit. What a strong Conqueror's hockey. The only one who can emit such a terrible Conqueror's hockey, Whitebeard. If that's the case, how do you explain all this now? There is an ominous premonition about the upcoming war. It's the angel of redemption. Everyone was confused and had no idea what was going on. Advertisement. The expressions of the Marine generals on the warship changed greatly, and they seemed to realize that things were moving in an uncontrollable direction. In the sea that was no longer calm, a boat suddenly flew out. The people of the Whitebeard pirates were stunned. This is fine, why did the Kamui pirates suddenly appear in front of them? Kronos. What's going on? No matter who wins this battle, it will greatly affect the pattern of the entire world. A huge wave was raised. The Marine warship, which was heading towards Honeycomb Island, was also affected. They are all characters like the most terrifying overlord on the sea today. At this time, a pirate who has experienced Summit War suddenly felt that this scene was very familiar, as if he had seen it somewhere. 0. There was anxiety on his face. Will the hegemons of the established powers win, or will the challengers of the emerging powers win? Damn it, am I still a step late? Isn't the battle over before we arrive? But one thing is for sure. The Marine generals talked a lot. Advertisement. Until the battle is over, no one knows what the outcome will be. Within 1 kilometer centered on the Honeycomb Island, it was as if a real earthquake had ushered in. Whitebeard. In this area of the sea, their people are guarding. With the attitude of an overlord, he dignifiedly landed in the center of the Honeycomb Island, facing the Whitebeard pirates of more than 20,000 people. When the two are combined, 0. Form a large-scale aftermath. This will be a fierce battle. If they want to get to this place, it is impossible for them not to know. What the hell is going on? Could it be that Whitebeard has already had a fight with Kronos? Otherwise, it's impossible to justify all this. 0 for flowers 00. These two people. You know this is the core area. Advertisement. 268 Whitebeard wants a disgrace. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Wait a minute, isn't that how we showed up at Summit War? This guy Kronos stole our login. After thinking hard for a while, the pirate suddenly woke up. The pirates present probably didn't think that the method they used to deal with Marine in the past was now completely copied by Kronos and dealt with them in turn. This surprised them, and at the same time, 920, they also felt a bit of consternation. They really didn't expect it. Such a shocking scene would happen. In order to regain the reputation of the first pirate group. What annoyed them the most was that the Kamui pirates caused many times more casualties than the Marines attacked them. Advertisement. When the white group pirates saw Kronos and the others, it was as if they had seen the enemy who killed their own parents. The hatred that day was hard to hide. People were not rescued, but they lost soldiers and generals. This era is called Whitebeard. After Senju Hashirama glanced at Uchiha Madara, he could see that the latter was already motivated to kill, and planned to send a big wave to send all the white pirates in front of him into hell. All thanks to Kronos and them. Hate the Kronos too. Let the world understand once again that the Whitebeard pirates are the strongest pirates in the world. In this way, can they not hate it to the core? Ah, you even brought so many people and ran in front of us. Are you courting death? In addition, the other crew members also cheered up. What is this? Advertisement. Swordsman, where are you? Otherwise, how could things get so bad? Senju Hashirama spread his hands helplessly, as if he had nothing to do with you, and said, 0.0 Okay, since you want to take action, I will listen to you today. I will explain in advance. Except today is the exception. A captain with tattoos all over his face and muscles all over his body, showing an extremely ferocious appearance, as if he was going to swallow everyone on the Kamui pirates. This is really interesting. I haven't had time to say anything yet, but these bastards are clamoring to kill me. Ha ha ha, it's really interesting. 1. Hey hey hey, Senju Hashirama. Don't take my prey in a minute. After the Battle of Summit War. Go to hell, bastards. Why did the Whitebeard pirates flee in embarrassment in the end? In addition to hating Marine, the Whitebeard pirates. Kill them, kill them. Advertisement. Almost all pirates think this way. As long as Kronos and his crew aren't at Marineford, they're the Whitebeard pirates who will win in the end. However, the people on Kronos' side are also full of fighting spirit. Point 0. Ji Guiwan's eyes were sharp, and he kept sweeping through the crowd, with that gesture as if he was looking for a delicious prey, and then slashed over it with a sword, beheading its head. Uchiha Madara dragged her chin with one hand, revealing her neat white fang. What an exaggeration this is. Uchiha Madara smiled and turned to look at Senju Hashirama. A group of guys looking for death. I don't know how high the sky is, and then I will use all my strength to chop off their heads. A burly man clenched the big sword in his hand and said angrily. Not just for dead buddies. This battle. Advertisement. 269 Little Devil, are you here to die? Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Then, Ji Guoyueni was among the crowd and found a man with 2 swords in his hands and a polite dress. Like a gentleman. This man is a strong man. Maybe later, I can fight him. Ji Guiwan felt secretly in his heart, as if he had already made up his mind to defeat this person. There are so many young people, this may be the trial place that this old man wants most, right? Ha ha. Bang Ji-yu stroked his long beard, and in his old eyes there was a fighting spirit no less than that of the young man. The word old and strong is the most suitable for 30 Bangu. Obviously Bangu is already full of white hair, and he is more than 60 years old. Not only did he not rest well in the countryside at this age, but he went out everywhere to fight against the strong. This kind of thing is a very rare thing anywhere on the sea. After all, everyone is not like a monster like Garp. People will always get old one day. But this sentence, on Bang Ji-yu, is not applicable at all. Advertisement. It seems that for the old man Bang Ji-yu, the years are just a small obstacle, and it is not a big deal at all. Perhaps it is precisely because of this spirit of constantly wanting to become stronger that Bangu has become so powerful that his strength is not inferior to the vast majority of the powerhouses on the sea. The battle has not yet been fully fought, and the pirate groups on both sides are already in a life and death look, and it is destined that the next battle will not stop because of this. Room for relaxation. Long gone. Whitebeard stared at Kronos in the distance, and suddenly the sword fell. Boom. The sudden loud noise made the whole place quiet. It seems that in this world, there are only Kronos and Whitebeard, the emperors of the sea facing the sea. Boy, are you here to die? Whitebeard grinned. The average person faces the number 1 man in the world. May have been scared half to death. Advertisement. But, Kronos is no ordinary person. Will he be afraid of each other? That is impossible. Kronos seemed to have heard something very ridiculous. I couldn't help laughing. Whitebeard, do you have Alzheimer's? Even say such things. It's so ridiculous. Whether it's Kronos' face or that damn face, it makes Whitebeard very angry. That look really sucks. Whitebeard really wanted to beat the other party, but unfortunately it was more difficult to do. After all, the other party's strength was there, and he absolutely couldn't underestimate the other party like this. What kind of powerful crew members there are, naturally what kind of powerful captains there will be. Advertisement. Whitebeard doesn't think Kronos can beat him at all. Kronos suddenly said these words. 923. He first raised 5 fingers, and then said amazingly. Deal with you bastards. On our side, we only need 5 people to beat you all. 1. As soon as this sentence came out, everyone present was stunned, and everyone thought that they might have heard it wrong. 5 people. Can you hang up the Whitebeard pirates? Incredible. Of course, the White Group pirates thought that Kronos was joking, or that he deliberately said something completely impossible to irritate them. Otherwise, they want to break their heads, and they don't know what the other party's intention is. Advertisement. 275 people, enough to sweep you all. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. It's so arrogant, this Kronos is treating us like a clown. Does he really think we don't dare to shoot him? A white team leader frowned, trying to understand why Kronos looked down on them so much. Anyway, we are the forces of the 4 emperors. As a result, this kid looks down on us time and time again. It really makes people speechless. Another white team leader said coldly. No matter which pirate the white group is, they will treat Kronos' words just now as a joke. No one will take it seriously. Whitebeard got angry, and felt like his crew that Kronos was deliberately humiliating them, and laughed in anger. Okay, you can try it anyway. Advertisement. Kronos gave the order calmly. Uchiha Madara. Senju Hashirama. Bangu. Following the fate of the country. Also, Wuzhou Enlightenment. The powerhouses who were called by their names all showed strange smiles, and then walked out of the crowd, looking at the white group pirates, as if they were looking at the prey being chased by them. Some people are happy, others feel helpless. Like Uchiha Madara, they are of course happy, because there is a chance to shoot. Who doesn't want to show their skills on the battlefield? Only cowards will hide at the end and not shoot. But for someone like Albedo who didn't have a name, but wanted to take action, it was really a huge torture. Advertisement. Can't help but feel a little lost. At the same time, I am a little envious of Uchiha Madara and the others, who can take the initiative to fight at this moment and fight against the Whitebeard pirates. Maybe for other forces, it is definitely a very painful thing to be the enemy of the Whitebeard pirates, because no one wants to be the enemy of a king who has stood firm in the New World for decades. To say that before the Kamui pirates were born out of thin air, if New World was the most famous pirate group, it must be the Whitebeard pirates. The power of the Whitebeard pirates is the largest, which is recognized by many forces, and even the Beast's pirates and the Charlotte family have to admit this. Even Marine has regarded the Whitebeard pirates as their mortal enemy for many years, and wished that the latter would end. It is because the Whitebeard pirates are too powerful that Marine, who is a thorn in their side, launches the Summit War at all costs, thus killing the Whitebeard pirates. From these things, in the hearts of many people, the Whitebeard pirates belong to the first echelon. But, advertisement. Everyone in the Kamui pirates looks like freaks. Not only are they not afraid of the Whitebeard pirates system. Instead, the opportunity to fight is treated as a supreme honor. This may be a huge crisis, but it is also a huge opportunity. If they win, they will replace the original position of the Whitebeard pirates, and completely make the world realize that the Kamui pirates cannot be contained, promised. Lost. That's impossible. The word doesn't exist in their minds at all. Nor would there be a crew that would feel they would lose. In the eyes of Uchiha Madara, the ultimate masters, even if the Whitebeard pirates are several times larger, it is impossible to beat their Kamui pirates. From the moment they became enemies with the Kamui pirates, it was already doomed what the next fate of the Whitebeard pirates would be: demise. Advertisement. 271 Two Imperial regiments, the war broke out. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Except this way. There is no other way. Honestly, when Whitebeard and the others saw that Kronos really only sent 5 men, they were somewhat shocked. They once thought that Kronos was deliberately taunting them, but the other party was real, and they actually sent 5 men to fight. At this moment, the white group pirates don't know whether to be happy or angry. Only 5 people, absolutely can't beat them. To know. They have more than 20,000 people here. Among them, the strongest are like clouds. There are also a group of powerful white team captains, as well as some famous New World captains, all gathered together, just waiting for Kronos and the others to send them to their door to court death. Beasta, Yoja and other white team leaders, those 923 are all strong men. Even the Marine Admiral, if you want to deal with them, you have to use all your strength. Advertisement. Otherwise, not only may they not be able to beat them, but they may also suffer a big loss. And what does it mean for Kronos to do this now? The white group pirates really can't understand, and can't figure it out. Trash. My lord is here. Have you made up your last words? The voice came over, and I saw a figure originally on the Angel of Redemption. I don't know when it started, but it has quietly landed on a high tree, and glanced coldly at the white group of pirates. DAAA. This person is Uchiha Madara. After hearing Uchiha Madara's words, the Baden pirates were of course furious. But after they recovered, they realized that something was wrong. How did this Uchiha Madara, get around them? As if in an instant, he came to that old tree. It's just like teleporting. They can't even keep up with the naked eye. Incredible. Advertisement. Really, Uchiha Madara, you shoot so fast every time, can I wait a minute? Another lonely figure, almost teleporting, appeared beside Uchiha Madara. 5 Enlightenment. Immediately afterward, figures as fast as lightning flew over from the Angel of Redemption. Ji Guoyuani stepped lightly on the sea water, running so fast, but not a bit of water touched his body. This shows how superb his body technique is. It's not something ordinary people can do. Only the strongest among the strong can do it. This scene. Many people were stunned. This kind of thing, these people may not be able to do well in their entire lives. At the same time, they are also curious, how did the other party do all this? Obviously running so fast. Result. Advertisement. The splashed sea water didn't land on his clothes at all. Senju Hashirama's appearance is special. He did not arrive at the battlefield with astonishing speed like everyone else. Instead, it flew over slowly. Obviously in this purgatory-like battlefield. At any time, there is a possibility of being hit by a bullet that arrives at an unknown time. But Senju Hashirama is very calm. His expression is very calm. His steps are without hesitation, so firm. Maybe for him, this is not a battle at all, just a normal travel, that's all. The young people today are really crazy, and I don't know if I can survive until the end. Bang Ji-yu hunched over. A benevolent look. There was no imposing manner all over his body, just like an ordinary old man. Advertisement. 272 Don't underestimate Bangu. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. However, what is quite amazing is that this guy who looks similar to an ordinary old man, like Uchiha Madara and the others, burst out with astonishing speed, and fell to the ground in less than a few seconds. A cold light flashed in the eyes of a white team leader, and he felt that Bang Ji-yu was the best to deal with among the 5. Kill. The white team leader was about to jump out and chop off Bang Gu's head with a knife. Suddenly, Joe stepped forward and stopped the white team leader. The third team captain's expression was extremely solemn, and he said solemnly, "Idiot, hurry up and step back, this old man is not an existence you can deal with. If you rush over, the one who will die will not be him, but you." After being angrily rebuked by Joes, the white team leaders who were going to shoot were stunned on the spot. He may not have expected that Joes would stop him at this time. Others may not be able to see how strong Bangu is, but Joes can immediately feel how powerful this seemingly ordinary old man is in his body. Advertisement. Once Bangu erupts with all the power in his body, it will definitely be called the terrifying power of a volcano. Don't say it's anyone else. I'm afraid it's him. I dare not say that I am 100% sure that I can win Bangu. Moreover, in the previous battle of the top, the old guy Bangu was not without shots. From that battle, Joes knew that the old guy in front of him was a strong man who was no less than himself. Be extra careful. At this time, Kronos, who was still on the Angel of Redemption, raised a finger to the sky and said loudly, "Today, this place on Honeycomb Island is the territory of our Kamui pirates." 1. Honeycomb Island. As we all know, it is the home of the Whitebeard pirates. And now Kronos is in front of so many people, directly saying that this place belongs to the Kamui pirates. Advertisement. Isn't this a declaration of war? Before the white group pirates could react, Uchiha Madara took the lead. Fire style. Great fireball technique. Uchiha Madara's ninjutsu skills are so strong that they don't need a seal, and just need a mouth to burst out chakra, which is condensed into flame energy. A fireball like a small sun smashed into the crowd of pirates in diameter. Seeing that the great fireball was about to hit them, many pirates in the white group hurriedly avoided it. 0 for flowers 00. But what they never thought was that the real target of this great fireball was not them, but Whitebeard. As if it had spirituality, the great fireball suddenly turned a corner and flew towards Whitebeard's position instead. Way through. All burn marks left behind. Its power. Advertisement. Incredibly terrifying. It was obvious that he had become the target of the opponent's attack, but Whitebeard stood there as if nothing had happened. A look out of the way. Not because Whitebeard didn't react, but because he didn't need to shoot. Someone will help him resolve all this. Shish. Dare to shoot at Dad. Do you underestimate us? Are you treating us like idiots? Accompanied by a low voice, a figure of Qingyan came from the distant sky, and just kicked the fireball into the sky. Oh, not bad. Uchiha Madara's eyes lit up, as if he had discovered a new continent. Although the visitor had diffused his offensive, it also made Uchiha Madara very interesting. 0. Advertisement. 273 They still have utility value. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. So, don't kill them. Unlike the rest of the crew, strictly speaking, Albedo just looked a bit human, with a beautiful face that looked exactly like a human. Want to die? Impossible. If you want to live, you can't. What is this? He really disappointed me. So, this made Kronos have to wonder, maybe Katakuri lost the battle, and then said everything he knew. Advertisement. Marco wiped the sweat from his forehead and couldn't help feeling a little nervous. Seeing that her captain had said so, Albedo nodded reluctantly, and had to temporarily withdraw her intention to take action. 0.0. This is really miserable for them, completely played by Kronos in the palm of their hand. Kronos nodded thoughtfully and said, since Marco is here, it proves that Katakuri is defeated. 1. Just thinking that they may have to taste Kronos' wrath next, the strong people of the Charlotte family are about to cry. To deal with a strong man like Marco, Uchiha Madara will naturally not let water, let alone show mercy. So disappointed, Kronos turned all his anger on them. Phoenix. He once thought that he would not be able to come back in time, but at the last moment, he still came back like this. Advertisement. But now that Marco came so fast, and Whitebeard suddenly ran wild, it seemed like he knew something. When Uchiha Madara took a closer look, he realized that this guy even knew him. But in fact, Albedo is not a human at all, and in the depths of his soul is a demon who completely treats humans as pests. Probably. After the white group pirates saw Marco, a very familiar character, all the 927 cheered, as if they were welcoming the hero of salvation. Leave it to me, I will do things well and let them disappear into this world with pain. Kronos took a deep look at the pirates in the distance, then shook his head and said, don't shoot at them yet, in my opinion, these guys are still useful. Of course, if Kronos changed his mind later and planned to really kill Charlotte and the rest of his clan, then Albedo would definitely do it. At the same time, Uchiha Madara and Marco, two rivals, started a fight in midair. Advertisement. As for other people's lives, she doesn't care at all, she just wants the best for Kronos, which is what she wants. In Kronos' view, Katakuri itself will not be weak enough, and even if it is not Marco's opponent, it will not be defeated so quickly. Not only that, but Albedo also made Isshin's interests the most important thing. Don't forget, the auntie wants to redeem these little devils. Marco. The members of the Charlotte family who seemed to realize that something was about to happen were all panicked. Of course, they knew that once Marco appeared here, it meant that Big Brother Katakuri was defeated. If I'm not mistaken, he should have let the water go. It's good to come. Albedo snorted coldly and said, let me take action and obliterate these rubbish. Since their eldest brother has gone back on his word and broke his promise, what are you going to do with these guys? Advertisement. 274 When Susanoo came out, it shocked all directions. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Afraid. That's impossible. Susanoo. Uchiha Madara's eyes gleamed with brilliance, a rare hand seal. The next moment, a huge purple giant-like phantom emerged from behind Uchiha Madara. This is Uchiha Madara's biggest trump card. It is also one of the profound meanings of Sharingan. Only those who cultivate the power of Sharingan to the ultimate can urge this Susanoo. Otherwise, it is impossible for some weak chickens to summon such a giant Manos Grande shadow that can destroy the world like Uchiha Madara. This is advertisement. As soon as Marco let out an exclamation, immediately following 30, he saw a huge and fierce fist smashing towards him. Boom. The Phoenix, who had no time to avoid it, was punched to the ground like this. The white group pirates were very worried, and they all felt that after Marco received this punch, most of them would not end well. Gojo Satoru shrugged his shoulders and said, do you need me to help? That unremarkable body seems to be silently talking about Susanoo's incompetence. Wooden Dragon. 1. Uchiha Madara would be disappointed if Marco was defeated so easily, but now it seems that his opponent is not easy at all. Follow closely. How can you beat me with just these people? Uchiha Madara was not surprised by this, but felt that such a strong man was suitable for his opponent. It really hurts me. Advertisement. Senju Hashirama used his own strength to prove that his words would not be a lie. Senju Hashirama is worthy of being the god of ninjas. Just alone, he relied on his own ninjutsu and taijutsu to resolve waves of attacks. The human sea tactics might have an extraordinary effect on most of the powerhouses in the sea. Wood style. Boom. Senju Hashirama smiled confidently. However, they subconsciously underestimated the second in command of their own pirate group. Kill him quickly, he is only one person, he can't be our opponent at all. Like a real dragon, a giant dragon condensed from chakra of wood appeared powerfully in the world. Relax. The white group pirates were extremely excited and felt that the lonely Senju Hashirama was a suitable prey. But for a top powerhouse like Senju Hashirama, who is enough to rival Marine Admiral and 4 emperors, the crowd tactics have no effect at all. That's right, kill him quickly, don't let him merge with others, otherwise it will bring us a lot of trouble. Advertisement. It's worth a while for me to play. Don't look at what Marco said, but he has no scars all over his body. Just when Uchiha Madara and Marco were fighting, the others were not idle and started their own battles. Just a few breaths. But they all obviously forgot one thing, or they didn't know at all. Senju Hashirama is the same level of power as Uchiha Madara. Uchiha Madara stopped in midair, akimbo, and let out arrogant laughter. Very good. A figure quickly flew out of the ruins, it was Marco. There are as many as 10,000 white pirates who don't know all this, just like 927 is a wild horse that broke free, rushing towards Senju Hashirama. I can handle them all by myself. That is to say, no matter how many people there are, it is impossible to have any effect on the latter. Only more than 20,000 people. Take it, we must take it, we have to make a contribution in front of Dad. Advertisement. 275 God of Ninjas. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Roar. A long and intimidating dragon roar. Then it resounded. Although it is a wooden dragon summoned by ninjutsu, it has overwhelming combat power and a sense of oppression. For a moment, the white group pirates present mistakenly thought that it was definitely not a fake dragon. It's a real dragon. The powerful feeling that rushes to the face, like overwhelming mountains, makes people tremble from the heart. The white group pirates who are rushing in the front have no time to keep their distance. A huge claw slowly raised. Then, one claw down. Boom. Advertisement. A large number of white group pirates were shot to death. Screams. Incessantly. There is also a new world captain with a bounty of more than 200 million, who bombed his body alive. Even the brain, also like a watermelon, burst. The white group pirates who originally wanted to attack Senju Hashirama were dumbfounded when they saw the scene in front of them. They were stagnant. Some people say that Senju Hashirama's strength is actually similar to Admiral's. This is just a rumor, and few people are willing to believe it is true. I don't know who shouted a sentence after we have a lot of people and can win this sentence. Anger. No ordinary cannonball. No. Where did the monster come from? Advertisement. In the depths of my heart, there is a fog called fear, which is already full. One shot down. Followed closely, it was trembling uncontrollably. Indeed, Senju Hashirama has a very strong, unbelievable power. Fighting spirit. He couldn't even utter a cruel word, his throat seemed to be stuck by something. Standing on top of the wooden dragon, Senju Hashirama glanced at the pirates in the distance, showing a disdainful smile, and said, "You guys still want to compete with my ninjutsu? You guys should go back and practice well. It takes dozens of cattle to say it." Previously. Are we going to fight against such a monster next? Isn't this asking us to die? How could we not be his opponents? If these words were said in half an hour, I believe that no pirate would believe Senju Hashirama. But since seeing the power of the wooden dragon, the pirates subconsciously felt that the other party might be right. They were all specially made shells made by Whitebeard. Now, enough to blow a hole in Marineford's walls. Because Senju Hashirama is really capable, maybe it's not a rumor at all, it's a real thing. Advertisement. What confident pirates were once. At this moment, many people suddenly remembered that Senju Hashirama is the strongest among the Kamui pirates after all. So many partners were killed by that monster's claws in an instant. The pirates began to gradually regain their confidence. But with so many of them, It's impossible to really take Senju Hashirama out of nowhere, right? No, to be precise, no matter how hard you cultivate, you will never reach my level. The pirates who found the letter promised Zhao Heart, don't know where they came from, and moved dozens of cannons. The power of each cannonball is several times that of ordinary cannonballs. But now, after witnessing the power of the wooden dragon summoned by Senju Hashirama, they no longer want to question it. At this time, therefore, the Baituan pirates are very confident that with Zhu Huan's cannonball, Senju Hashirama can be severely damaged. Excited again. These dozens of artillery objects. Expensive. Advertisement. 276 Invincible Wood Style Technique. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. One of Whitebeard's pirates, the captain named Ilawong, stood up bravely at this time. Fire. Blow up that guy. Ilawong raised his arms to boost his morale. Almost at the same instant, accompanied by the dull and loud noises from dozens of fortresses, the heavy shells shot at Senju Hashirama like a torrential rain. In the eyes of almost everyone, when Senju Hashirama would be smashed to pieces like this, what happened next shocked them once again. I saw a puff of smoke gradually dissipating, and the wooden dragon, which had previously brought endless fear to the crowd, was still standing in place unharmed. As if all of this, from Yu Long, is just tickling. This 927 hours. Senju Hashirama seemed to lose sight of it and sighed. It's time to end this battle as soon as possible. If not so. 1. Advertisement. I'm afraid Captain Roha will scold me. I'll be taunted by that guy Uchiha Madara too. Swish. With the ninjutsu launched again. The second wooden dragon that was equally terrifying and exuded terrifying might appeared with power. The two wooden dragons roared in unison. Resounds through the world. Shocking. The faces of the white group pirates were ashen. They are really desperate. Almost all means were used, but one of the wooden dragons could not be solved. Now tell them, Senju Hashirama can summon a second wooden dragon. What should they do? Advertisement. Don't be too arrogant, Senju Hashirama. Do you really think our Whitebeard pirates are nobody? The person who said this was a blond man with a fierce face and heavy dark circles under his eyes. Obviously the upper body is made of iron armor, and there are several gems shining there. But the lower part of the body is not good pants. Gives a sense of paradox. The man's name is Ed Wong, who is now a captain of the Whitebeard pirates. But unlike other captains, Edwana is a veteran member of the Whitebeard. Ever since Whitebeard founded his own pirate group, Edwana has been in it. Even Marco was with Whitebeard earlier, at the same time as the Ice Witch. It's just that in the later stage, Edwong felt that he couldn't go on like this. If he wanted to become stronger, he had to get outside to see the world. Therefore, Ed Wong temporarily left the group and went outside to create his own pirate group. Ha ha ha, Senju Hashirama, I really want to chop off your head. If that's the case, I'm sure my father will praise me well. Advertisement. Another person who dared to challenge at this time, whose name was Andre, was a veteran like Edwan. It was only later that for some reasons, a pirate group was established outside. But in fact, the two of them never left the Whitebeard pirates, and Whitebeard treated them as their own sons as always. In order to be worthy of this loyalty, the two of them can be said to have sacrificed their lives. Whoever shoots Whitebeard, shoots them. No matter how strong the opponent is, they won't be afraid. Fun guy. Although your courage is commendable, you are destined not to be my opponents. You can't beat me for the rest of your life. What a confidence Senju Hashirama is. Between words. All disdain. Andre and Edwan never expected that the other would look down on themselves so much. 2. Bullying. Advertisement. 277 hates Senju Hashirama to the core. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Kill this guy and look down on us so much. 1. Arrogant. Too arrogant. The two of them are so hot. Fighting burst. The momentum on his body is getting stronger and stronger. Using armament hockey's two white regiment captains, with supreme anger, they launched a deadly sprint to Senju Hashirama like two wild horses running free. With a full-strength knife, it was actually able to cut a huge crack in the body of the wooden dragon. Oh, not bad. Senju Hashirama took back his contempt a little and became a little serious. Originally, Senju Hashirama really didn't take these two little minions in his eyes, but after seeing the other side causing damage to the wooden dragon with such a knife, this changed Senju Hashirama's original thoughts and ideas. Senju Hashirama decided to be ruthless and let these guys know what the outcome of fighting against him would be. Advertisement. Wood style. I saw Senju Hashirama pressing both hands on the ground, and a large number of chakra erupted from the palm of his hand, affecting the land in this area, causing unprecedented events. When the power of chakra reaches a very terrifying level, it will cause extremely magical things. For example, now, the unprecedented and huge chakra instantly grew dozens of wooden strips that were more than 20 meters long on the ground, as huge as the arms of giants, and those who followed them attacked in all directions, wrapping the two captains in it. Edouan and Andre are the kind of big boys. It's mowing the grass. After the pirates in the distance saw this scene. But when they got a little closer, they found that their body couldn't move. A white team leader was shocked and angry, unable to understand the current situation at all. Let go of me. Just like Senju Hashirama, the god of ninjas, slaughtered all directions here, Gojo Satoru also rushed into the enemy army alone, using extremely powerful strength, knocked down one pirate after another. Damn. Advertisement. Andre and Edouan gritted their teeth and used all their strength to get rid of all this, but with their current strength, they couldn't do such a thing at all. Next moment. After Wuho Satoru snapped his fingers, the next moment, these pirates with strong anger instantly lost consciousness, like puppets that had lost their strength, they all fell to the ground. 0. But I won't tell you. It's all crushing. It all happened so fast that the two of them couldn't react at all. Senju Hashirama squeezed hard. Die. Whether it was Andre or Edouan, these two veteran pirate characters died tragically at the hands of Senju Hashirama. It's not a fight anymore. This kind of feeling is as if their legs have stepped into the quagmire, and it has become extremely difficult for them to move a little bit. From start to finish, everyone nodded subconsciously, of course they wanted to know what was going on. Advertisement. At the same time, various similar situations are being staged almost everywhere on the entire Honeycomb Island. No matter how many white team leaders rushed over, they planned to stop Gojo Satoru's actions. Result. In their hearts, the terrifying power exploded in an instant. Why can't my feet move? 0 for flowers 00. Gojo Satoru narrowed his eyes and smiled, want to know the reason. Just got killed by Senju Hashirama. So trapped in it, unable to move. Shocked and terrified. Could they not be shocked? Advertisement. 278 Gojo Satoru is too strong, the captains are crushed. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. The white group pirates in the distance are all dumbfounded. They couldn't understand at all, how did Wujo achieve all this? Obviously the strength of those white team leaders is so powerful. So extraordinary. But in the end, before he came to Wuho Wu's side, he encountered such a thing that the world couldn't understand. Is it possible? That guy is demon fruit power. Some pirates muttered, 927, to themselves. No wonder this person's bounty ranks in the top 5 among the Kamui pirates, his strength is really terrifying. Just after a middle-aged pirate said this, he realized something even more terrifying, then shuddered and said, how many people are there in the Kamui pirate group, and Wuho Satoru? Just as powerful. Advertisement. At this time, Wutiaowu cast his eyes on the frightened people, chuckled again, and said, next, it's your turn. This sentence let the surrounding pirates completely panic. Who is the opponent's next target? Just 2 people, Senju Hashirama and Gojo Satoru, made the entire Honeycomb Island in chaos. Almost every few seconds, a large number of white pirates were buried here. This made the pirate groups of all parties hate the Kamui pirates even more, and at the same time they couldn't help but feel more afraid. They were all afraid from the bottom of their hearts. The Kamui pirates didn't use all their strength, they just dispatched 2 people, and they were crushed to the point of collapse. If so, what should they do against the Kamui pirates? How can the difference be so big? Advertisement. Obviously everyone is a royal group, but the other party is so strong. Standing alone in the center of Honeycomb Island, Whitebeard glanced at Senju Hashirama, Gojo Satoru, and Uchiha Madara, his expression extremely gloomy. Whitebeard really wanted to take the big knife and cut off the heads of these 3 people. However, now he can't do it all. It's not that he doesn't have the ability to do it. But before this guy Kronos shot, Whitebeard absolutely couldn't act. This guy Kronos, how many such powerful whole cards do you have? On the surface, Whitebeard has no turbulence, but in fact, he has a pessimistic attitude towards the entire battlefield. On the Angel of Redemption, Pain felt that it was time for him to make a move, so he asked Kronos to fight. Captain, let me make a move next, how about that? Advertisement. With my ability, I can definitely take down the old thief Whitebeard for you. Albedo, who has always been short-tempered and really wanted to do something for Kronos, also stood up at this moment and said, Respected Lord, please let me Albedo do it, I promise to bring you let's have a nice fight. In addition, many crew members have also joined the battle, eager to participate. Kronos shook his head and said, It's not the time to make a 0.0 move. Everyone was greatly disappointed, and they looked very pity. At the same time, they couldn't understand why Kronos wouldn't let them do it until now. What's the point of doing this? Kronos seemed to know what they were thinking, and smiled. If we use all our strength, we can absolutely wipe out the Whitebeard pirates. Advertisement. 279 Waiting for the fish to take the bait. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Kronos paused for a moment, then continued earnestly. But, have you ever thought that if we did this, Marine probably wouldn't have come to fight? That is to say, before the fish is hooked, I don't plan to end all this so soon. Moreover, the game is over so quickly, it's too boring. Let Senju Hashirama and the others play for a while, ha ha ha. 1. If Whitebeard and the others knew that Kronos thought so, they would definitely be pissed off. Advertisement. This is no longer something to look down on, but from the beginning to the end, 30 treated this war as a game. The words are filled with contempt for the Whitebeard pirates. At the beginning, Albedo really didn't know what Kronos was thinking, but after they heard what Kronos said, they suddenly felt as if they had guessed something. Pen said thoughtfully, So, you're planning to pack up with Marine as well. Kronos didn't answer Pain's words, but quietly glanced in the other direction of the sea, as if muttering to himself, the timing is almost here. At the same time, the huge war that suddenly broke out on Honeycomb Island made Marine feel a lot of pressure. Whether it was the Whitebeard pirates or the Kamui pirates headed by Kronos, they were destined to not be easy to provoke. The presence. One is the #1 man in the world, and the other is the 5th emperor of the New World. One of these two people is enough to cause a bloody storm on the sea. If these two people are really incompetent, they wouldn't have to spend a lot of time, and they wouldn't have brought so many troops like this, coming with the idea of perishing together. Advertisement. What many people did not expect was that Akainu did not stay at naval headquarters, but went out in person and led a team of elites. Since the end of the Summit War, the 5 elders, who want to change the current world situation, feel that it is not good for Sengoku to be Marine Marshal again. So, they have secretly started to support Akainu to replace him as the new Marshal Marine. Despite the fact that Sengoku still holds the title of Marshal Marine, he has actually ceded most of his power to Akainu. Even without the advice of the 5 elders, Sengoku himself planned to leave the position of Marshal Marine and live his days as leisurely as Garp. And Akainu knows that if he wants to become Marshal Marine, he will definitely need a big victory to completely stabilize his position. In fact, Marine and pirates have a lot in common. For example, it is also a place where strength is respected. Whoever has the bigger fist will go with whoever. If Akainu 927 can seize this opportunity and take care of the 2 imperial regiments, then with this victory, he will definitely become Marshal Marine. Advertisement. Even its fame will surpass Sengoku in one fell swoop. Of course, while there is a huge high return, it also means that this war will be accompanied by a huge crisis. Whitebeard is scary, but Kronos is even scarier. There are many things, but Akainu is very clear in his heart. Whitebeard is getting old. In the past, how much fighting power did the world's #1 man have? It's no secret that Whitebeard's old illness is a matter of fact, almost everyone knows it. Advertisement. 280 Akainu is about to act. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. This world. No one would think that Whitebeard still has the ability to maintain the current hegemony. Basically, as his condition worsens in a few years, it is not impossible to withdraw from the ranks of the Big C hegemony. People will grow old one day, and this is the same for Whitebeard. And stronger and younger than Whitebeard, Kronos is undoubtedly a more dangerous fellow than Whitebeard. In other words, Kronos have the capital to fight their Marines for decades. Can such a guy not make Marine feel jealous? This time we're going to kill Kronos no matter what. Can't let him continue to develop. If not, when his power grows stronger, then we Marine will be finished, the kind that is completely finished. 1. Akainu spoke angrily to the crowd. Advertisement. What the Marines didn't know was that, on the back of the warship, there have always been several spells posted there, emitting strange light from time to time. The current situation of the Honeycomb Island battle can be said to be extremely fierce. The entire island has become a huge battlefield, and there are a lot of battle traces left everywhere. EXTZ. Corpses all over the place. Not to mention Uchiha Madara, Senju Hashirama and Gojo Satoru who are fighting against Marco for the moment. It is as if they have turned on the unparalleled mode, constantly harvesting their lives wantonly in the crowd. Obviously, the Whitebeard pirates have a huge advantage in numbers. They have as many as 20,000 people, but they can't help these two. In other words, Senju Hashirama and Gojo Satoru both have a terrifying fighting power that rivals 10,000 people. Not to mention that in this battle, many white team leaders participated in it, and then they were killed by them. This is really a terrible thing. Can someone be so strong? Advertisement. At this time, there is one person who can't stand it anymore and decides to stand up and change all this. And this person, it is the famous Diamond Yoja in the white group. Senju Hashirama. 5 Enlightenment. You two guys are going to die here. After Joe's roared, he was the first to rush to Senju Hashirama, intending to kill this person first to restore the current precarious situation. At this moment, a terrifying figure came horizontally, blocking Joe's. Let's have a match with the old man, how about it? Bang Ji-yu stroked his beard, his face full of traces of years, with a bit of war. Advertisement. Jaws' anger vanished as soon as he saw Bang Ji-yu. Instead, it is the stalk of fear. It is because he is also a master, so Joes can know at a glance that the old guy in front of him has the power to rival him. It is even possible that he has more power than him. Some pirates planned to attack Bangu, but they were stopped by Joes. You are not his opponent. If you go to fight with this person, you will only die at the hands of the other party, promised good, for nothing. Jaws' expression was still as solemn as always, and he said coldly. Everyone couldn't understand Yoja's brain circuit at all, and they didn't think that Bangu would be a very powerful character as Yoja said. And it turns out that Joes was right and they were wrong. The moment before, Bang Ji-yu still looked old and weak, but at the next moment, he burst out with a terrible speed and strength that even young people can't match, like a wild leopard, pounced on it. Advertisement. 281 Serious Bangu, shot against Joes. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Bangu once entered a fighting state. Will be scary. The punch he threw out contained terrifying strength and hit Jaws' body. Even Yoja, who is a diamond fruit person, has a very strong defensive power. After he took this punch, his expression of pain was twisted, and he flew out like this. It wasn't that Joes was careless, and even Bangu, who was nearly 100 years old, couldn't dodge the attack, but Bangu's explosive power was so amazing, completely beyond Yoja's imagination. Like most people, Joes himself never thought that the other party not only dared to make the first move, but also made such a heavy move. While Joes was in a state of fear, he took dozens of steps back in a row, and looked at Bangu again, which was full of strong 930 fear. Perhaps in the eyes of the white team leader, Bang Ji-yu has become one of the great enemies in his life. Advertisement. The white group pirates in the distance couldn't help it. Everyone screamed loudly. What's the origin of that old man? Why was he able to repel Captain Yoja? Joes is the captain of our 4th team. He is also a diamond fruit person. It is impossible to be repelled by an old man like this. Kamui pirates are really a bunch of monsters, even an old man has such a strong power. I really don't know that there is such a thing in that place. 1. The faces of the people are getting more and more difficult to look at. First to Uchiha Madara, then a Senju Hashirama and Gojo Go. Now it seems that the combat power of this Bangu is not inferior to the former. These 4 people are all monsters among monsters. Only the top 5 of the Whitebeard pirates can barely fight them. Advertisement. Bang Ji-yu seemed to ignore the gazes around him. His old eyes kept staring at Joe's in front of him, and said very seriously, "Today, either you die, or you die." When he said these words, Bang Ji-yu seemed to have changed a person. He obviously looked like an ordinary old man, but at this time, there was a battle strength and spirit that was seriously inconsistent with his age. Even for a moment, it gave everyone an obvious illusion that the one who was fighting against Joe's was not an old man, but a strong man in his prime. Just like what happened to Joe's, Beasta also encountered an unprecedented powerful enemy, which made him miserable and beaten and retreated. At the beginning, Beasta also thought about supporting other pirates and dealing with Senju Hashirama and others together. But at this moment, Ji Guoyueni, a strong man who came from nowhere, suddenly ran in front of him and said that he must learn swordsmanship with him. At that time, Beasta was very angry and felt that the other party was courting death. He never thought of the possibility that the other party's swordsmanship might be superior to his own. As a result, after this fight, Beasta found that he was wrong, and the wrong was especially outrageous. The person who is courting death should not be Jigyu Yueni. It's him. Advertisement. Click. Click. But after 5 rounds, Beasta was covered in blood. Blood was dripping from his body. Tick-tock. Tick-tock. How can it be so powerful? Beasta could feel his own soul tremble. The unparalleled swordsmanship displayed by the other side made him feel like he was facing Hawkeye. Advertisement. 282 With the power of a sword, Beasta is unwilling to fall to the ground. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Your ability is not good. I thought how strong you were. Result. Ji Guiwan shook his head, looking very disappointed. Although the other party did not continue to speak, Beasta could guess what the other party was going to say at a glance, and it was precisely because of this that he felt even more uncomfortable. Never thought that in this world, there are still such powerful swordsmen. It's time to end you. The breath of the sun. Cut. Swish. The figure of Jigyu Yueni burst out with terrible speed. The sword glow that contained the aura of the sun fell on Beasta's body in an instant. All of these. Advertisement. Too fast. Clearly visible. On Beasta's chest, an obvious sword mark appeared. I lost. I don't know if it was alive, or if it was simply killed just like that. After saying this sentence, Beasta still fell to the ground with unwillingness. The other white team leaders were equally astonished. They didn't expect that Beasta would lose so quickly. It took less than 10 minutes to add up. For the entire Whitebeard pirates, Bistana is a heavyweight, and he has a certain influence in terms of prestige and voice. Shock fruit. Activate. Jigyu Yueni, you can go to the local support for a while, this guy will be handed over to me to deal with. And now Beasta was beaten so badly. Kronos didn't turn his head, and spoke softly. Instead, it made a deafening sound. Advertisement. A powerful shock wave that can't be seen but can be clearly felt there, passed from layer to layer, and flew towards Jiguiwan. Ji Guiwan frowned and was about to swing his sword to block the blow. 0 for flowers 00. But one thing is certain, Beasta's defeat this time has brought about a huge change in the whole battle situation. Kronos. Would you like to retreat? It can't go on like this. 1. Boom. A voice full of drama and abuse came from afar. You don't think I'll watch you take action on my crew, do you? It just can't be stopped. A thought that they hadn't even thought about before came to mind. Whitebeard gritted his teeth and squeezed hard. Advertisement. As soon as the voice fell, a black shadow that suddenly appeared, calmly landed on the ground, followed by a ferocious and domineering punch, which shattered this extremely powerful shock wave. There are many white group pirates who have begun to retire. When the idea of retreat really came to mind, the person who shot at this critical moment is none other than the captain of the Kamui pirates, and one of the protagonists of this war. The more I think about it, the more I feel that the trend is over and I am powerless revolving heaven. The fist wrapped in the light ball smashed into the air, as if it shattered glass. But one thing that made everyone feel a little relieved was that Beasta was rescued in time and barely saved his life. But still in a coma, it is impossible for him to stand up again to form a fighting force. Seeing that the situation was getting worse and worse, Whitebeard really couldn't stand it anymore, and a bright light flashed in his eyes. Sudden. Oh Whitebeard, can't you take it anymore? Obviously, Whitebeard is planning to use Ji-Guiwan first. Just like that, I lost consciousness. Advertisement. 283 Peak Battle, the main event is coming. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. $7. Jigyu Yuani readily agreed, and left here as quickly as possible, looking for prey elsewhere. The first confrontation between Kronos and Whitebeard left a deep impression on everyone's heart. Admiral, this is simply forcing them to rush to a dead end. Because the large area of the ground could not bear such pressure, it was as if an earthquake had ushered in, and various cracks were split open like a spider web. You are too young. In just the blink of an eye, Kronos' body burst into a top-level 0.0 color hockey that is not inferior to Whitebeard. If it weren't for the Kronos in front of them, Summit War would not have been defeated so badly. Advertisement. Take care of yourself first and then talk about it. Maybe the father has not fallen yet, you will fall down first. Conqueror's Hockey. Point 0. And Whitebeard's Conqueror's Hockey, which has reached the highest level in 20 years, can make Conqueror's Hockey materialize and affect everything around it like air waves. Even if you are the number one man in the world, you can't be my opponent. For many pirates in the sea, that is simply unbelievable. If someone asks Whitebeard at this time, who is the person you hate the most right now, Whitebeard will definitely say the name Kronos. But Kronos has also practiced conquerors to a very high level, basically only the dead Roger can compare with him, and no one else in the world can stabilize him in this aspect of conquerors. Marine is annoying, but to Whitebeard, the Kronos in front of him is 10,000 times more damn it than Marine. And the facts will prove that Kronos is not a big talker, because he really has the ability to do it all. Am I not your opponent? Advertisement. Better than conquerors. I've never been afraid of anyone in my life. Far away, Uchiha Madara and Marco, who were facing each other, couldn't help but stop and watched the battle between the pirate emperors in the distance. The two emperors who are full of hatred are bound to compete at this moment. The two powerful conquerors hockey, like two extremely powerful tornadoes, are constantly colliding together. Really? 1. So when Whitebeard was furious to ultimate and showed the power of Conqueror's Hockey, the surrounding earth was shattered one after another. And now Kronos is running over to fight him to the death. After speaking, the two clashed fiercely once again, both with the mentality of blowing each other up. Kronos. Advertisement. Marco put his arms around his chest, not at all feeling that he would lose to Uchiha Madara, and said coldly, I really don't know where your confidence comes from. Do you really think that you have a great advantage? What Whitebeard does, so does Kronos. Whitebeard burst out with the terrifying Conqueror's Hockey as he spoke Hockey's exposed words. Every collision will make a huge change in the entire Honeycomb Island. But as long as the Pirate Emperor, the level of its Conqueror's Hockey will not be so bad. Marco, if you don't deal with me as soon as possible, I'm afraid your captain might die right in front of your eyes. Uchiha Madara burst out laughing. Uchiha Madara shrugged his shoulders and said, then I'll wait and see. In short, I'm looking forward to your performance, ha ha ha. King to King. Advertisement. A duel between 284 conquerors. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. The white group pirates were all stunned. They were really shocked. Kronos, this guy. Conqueror's level is so high. How can you fight your father like this? At this moment, many pirates suddenly remembered that Kronos himself would not be so weak, but in many cases he just chose to let his subordinates shoot, and did not shoot himself. But in fact, Kronos itself is a peerless powerhouse, enough to rival the top existences of Admiral and 4 emperors. How could someone who can be the pirate emperor be so weak? If Kronos was really a piece of shit, he wouldn't be able to hold back so many and powerful minions. And there is one thing that most of the white group Pirate 30 did not see. On the surface, this Conqueror's matchup appears to be a close match. Advertisement. But in fact, this kid, who is only in his early 20s, how can he have such a powerful Conqueror's power? It's Kronos who has the upper hand. Now, I'm going to be serious. Before Whitebeard could understand the specific meaning of Kronos' words, Kronos suddenly burst into an unspeakable aura. Could it be that he is really old, and it is time to retire from the stage of history? It is like the end of the sky, the bottom cannot be seen. This kid, don't you think that he is more powerful than Roger? But what happened now has made Whitebeard wake up and realize his weakness. Make the gap that already exists a lot bigger. The next sentence from Kronos made Whitebeard stunned, and he wondered if his ears had heard it wrong. This strong contrast before and after makes Whitebeard's mentality almost collapse. Advertisement. Obviously, Kronos had already seen that Whitebeard could no longer bear it, but he said so himself, which is obviously a mockery of Whitebeard. Even the old One Piece can't do this. Whitebeard never dreamed of it. When he first got Conqueror's Haki, maybe Kronos wasn't even born yet. When he heard these words, Whitebeard immediately thought that the other party was joking or bluffing. He once thought that after Roger's death, no one on the sea could surpass himself in the field of Conqueror's Haki, and he would be the unique Conqueror's strongest. Is there a limit to joking? I'm only using 90% of the Conqueror's power now. The originally terrifying Conqueror's Haki has become even more powerful at this moment. What no one noticed was that a drop of cold sweat dripped on Whitebeard's forehead, and he had already realized that there was a certain gap between him and Kronos. How is this possible? 930. Do you think this kind of thing is impossible? It's okay. Just make this mental preparation. 1. Advertisement. Kronos said knowingly. Only 90% of the power can stabilize him. Whitebeard, your expression looks a little ugly. What happened? Whitebeard really can't accept that a young man who is more than 40 years younger than him can be so much better than him. Thinking of this, Whitebeard felt very unwilling. Shouting in my heart, why does God want to play with him like this? One day he'll be better than anyone at Conquerors. This kind of thing, don't say it's someone else. What's wrong? Whitebeard was half infuriated by Kronos' words, but he was indeed at a disadvantage now, so he couldn't say a word, and he felt extremely helpless. You may not know. Advertisement. 285 The legendary pirate will get old after all. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. In the subconscious of many people, Whitebeard is not old, he is still the #1 man in the world who can kill everything marine with a big sword in his hand. But they must have never heard of such a sentence. The back waves of the Yangtze River push the front waves, and the front waves are beaten to death on the beach. In the world, who can firmly sit on the throne of the world's first? One Piece will also die one day, let alone the #1 man in the world. When Kronos really no longer suppressed his level, but used all his strength, it would mean Whitebeard's defeat from that moment on. From the very beginning, the outcome of this Conqueror's clash has been decided. Whitebeard can't beat Kronos no matter what. With the moment Conqueror's Haki decided the winner, Whitebeard flew out. His body shape is extremely embarrassing. Advertisement. There was blood in the mouth. Just slammed into the wall. As the smoke gradually dissipated, everyone present could clearly see that the embarrassed appearance of the #1 man in the world was like a mourning dog. That attitude is something that most of the White Group pirates have never seen before. The White Group pirates were both shocked and deeply frightened. I won. Quote. Not yet defeated. At this moment, the strong man like a lion stood up again with astonishing willpower. That unyielding appearance seemed to silently tell everyone that Whitebeard was not completely defeated, and he could continue to fight. Advertisement. Are you going to continue to be reluctant? I believe that after the confrontation just now, you also know very well in your heart that you will definitely not be my opponent. 1. After Kronos finished the sentence lightly. Then he said, if that's the case, why do you have to waste so much time with me? Just grab it. It's no shame to lose to me. The crew of the Kamui pirates in the distance also laughed at Whitebeard. Albedo put his hands on his hips and directly mocked Whitebeard, saying, I'm getting old, but I'm still learning from young people, and I think I'm very powerful, don't I? If I were you, I would have jumped into a river and committed suicide long ago, so as not to be ridiculed. Payne said something extraordinary in a flat tone, saying, in my eyes, you, Roger, Golden Lion and the others are just old antiques that have been eliminated by the times. Your defeat is only a matter of time. In addition, many trainee crew members also laughed at it. In short, one by one is falling into trouble. Advertisement. Although Whitebeard listened to everyone's sarcasm, he was not angry at all, instead he laughed. Kronos. I have to admit that. I don't seem to be your match now. Speaking of this, Whitebeard suddenly changed the conversation, his tone suddenly became much colder, and said, however, there are some things that I have to fight and fight. How about fighting to the death with you for the sake of my beloved promised sons? These arrogant words moved the Whitebeard pirates who were in a hard fight. They didn't know that Whitebeard had the ability to escape from here. It's just that Whitebeard, for them, not only did not choose to turn around and run away, but was willing to stay and fight against such a peerless and ferocious existence as Kronos. There are also some pirates who feel guilty and feel that they are too incompetent to cause this situation. Advertisement. 286 Whitebeard, you are old. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Whitebeard clenched the big knife in his hand, and an overwhelming aura erupted from his body. The dust-covered body was still as motionless as an old tree. People who see Whitebeard at this time may have a momentary illusion that the world's #1 man is not old, and his power is still as strong as ever. On the contrary, Kronos felt that such a thing was very good. He laughed, and said, I did not see you wrong, Whitebeard. The main purpose of my coming here today is to fight you. Speaking of which, Kronos had a look of memory on his face and said, when we were in Marineford before, it seemed that the two of us didn't have a good fight, right? I think now may be a good time. What do you think? 930. 1. Whitebeard grinned, his eyes flickering with endless fighting intent, and said solemnly, today, take this big sword in my hand and chop off your head. Ha! Let the horses come over, Whitebeard. Advertisement. Swish. The two figures suddenly left the place and sprinted towards each other at an astonishing speed. Boom. Boom. At this moment, the two seemed to be the gods of war who suppressed the world, and they continued to use the tricks they were best at, and they were about to kill each other. After so many things, whether it was Kronos or Whitebeard himself, they all treated each other as an undead mortal enemy. If they want to let go of each other, it is simply an impossible thing to happen. Even if the sun really comes out from the west one day, the contradiction between the two of them will not be eliminated one day. Every time Whitebeard wields a knife, it contains the strongest fruit ability in Paramesha, and it has full destructive power. It seems to be just a casual knife, as if it can open up the world and cut the world. Advertisement. And Kronos won't be so weak. He has already cultivated Conqueror's Haki to ultimate, and he is not afraid of Whitebeard at all. In this sea, there are only 3 people who can master Conqueror's Haki to the top level at the same time. One is Roger, the pirate king who has been dead for more than 20 years, and the other is the current DAAA, marine hero, the man known by the world as Garp the Fist. As for the last person, it is naturally the Kronos in front of him. Both Kronos and Whitebeard have absolute confidence in their own power. Rumbling. ... Every time the two fought, an indescribable wave of Conqueror's air emanated from it, as if 2 tornadoes were formed, constantly destroying everything around them. Gradually, there is no complete ground around the 2 pirate emperors, all of them are full of potholes. In a blink. Advertisement. The two have fought hundreds of blows in a row. Still undefeated. Generally speaking, it may not be easy for a strong player at the level of Kronos to really decide the winner. The battle between the top powerhouses depends on their ability on the one hand, and their physical strength on the other hand. In other words, the battle between Whitebeard and Kronos has turned into a tug of war. It depends on who reveals the flaws first. Depends on who runs out of energy first. Facing the onslaught of Kronos one after another, Whitebeard's heart set off a huge wave. He had never seen such a fierce young man. Advertisement. 287 The Endless Battle. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Whitebeard believes that he has seen many heaven-defying powerhouses in his life, but no one can compare to the Kronos in front of him. Whether it is a talent or a good strategy, they are all different from ordinary people. Whitebeard has a complicated mind. Due to various things, he really hates Kronos so much that he wants to kill him all the time. But on the other hand, Whitebeard admires Kronos very much, and even thinks that sooner or later, the latter will surpass not only his Whitebeard, but also the achievements achieved by his old friend Roger for many years. For a moment, Whitebeard felt that he was getting old, and it might be time to really leave this sea like rocks and other pirate overlords. However, when Whitebeard thought that his sons were still there to support him, the previous retreat disappeared suddenly, replaced by the same war as always. Advertisement. Can't lose. Never lose. Not only for those beloved sons, but also for the title of the strongest man in the world. Ah, don't underestimate me too much, boy. Whitebeard gritted his teeth and unleashed a violent slash with all his strength, slashing down like a gust of wind. Boom. At the most crucial moment, Kronos suddenly stretched out his palm, and with the extremely terrifying armament Haki and powerful strength, blocked Whitebeard's sudden burst of all-out force. How dangerous, Whitebeard. Advertisement. If I didn't react just now, I'm afraid that my head might really be chopped off by you. Kronos laughed. Although Kronos said so, Whitebeard didn't feel that the other party was telling the truth at all, snorted coldly, and said, "Don't think I can't see it. Even if you didn't block the knife at the time, there would be other ways. Diffuse the crisis. So, stop bluffing here and say so many useless things. I won't let my guard down, and I'll use all my strength from start to finish." Kronos didn't get angry but smiled. He smiled and said, "Really? Then I really look forward to your next performance." Just when the two pirate emperors fought like this, the situation of the White Group pirates was not good at all, and it could be said that they were in a desperate situation. 0 for Flowers 00. Although the Kamui pirates only sent 5 subordinates to fight the 20,000-strong pirate army. With such a huge disparity in numbers, if the 5 words Kamui pirates were erased, even a normal person would feel that this battle would be an overwhelming victory for the Whitebeard pirates. Advertisement. But things are not like this at all. The 5 members of the Kamui pirates, any one of them, belong to the kind of indomitable existence. Point 0. Anyone who isn't the Whitebeard pirates is a bunch of rookies. On the contrary, it is Uchiha Madara who are too fierce, they are too strong. The first one to be eliminated was Vista, who was defeated not long ago. Now he has been sent to the last side for treatment. Even if the injury is stabilized, it may take half a month to recover. And it's hard to say, will it leave any sequelae? After all, Jigyueni had a heavy hand just now, and the power of Sun's breath was still not dissipated in Beasta's body, like a tumor, making Beasta's injury unable to stabilize for a while. The second captain who was out of the game also came out soon. It turned out to be Diamond Yoja. 0. Advertisement. 288 Joes is scared, his legs are shaking. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. In terms of strength, Joes definitely belongs to the first echelon of the entire pirate group. With its combat power, only a few Marco people can stabilize him. The other captains besides this are not opponents of Joes at all. Not to mention that in Summit War, Joes was able to play a few tricks with Marine Admiral, which shows how powerful his combat power is. But the opponent that Joes is facing at this moment is by no means an ordinary old man who can be seen everywhere in 933, but on the contrary, an old monster that is so terrifying to the bottom. Whether it is good fighting skills and old-fashioned experience, or good physical reaction speed, Bangu has crushed Yoja in every aspect, and there is indeed a lot of gap between the two. It would be better to say that, fortunately, Joes is a diamond fruit person, and he can rely on the fruit ability to make his body defense stronger than ordinary people. Otherwise, without the bonus of this diamond fruit, I am afraid that Joes would have already fallen to Bangu's hands. Advertisement. After an hour-long fight, Joes had almost exhausted all his physical strength. It's not easy to stay in shape now. Today's Joes can be said to be strong in the outside world, and it will be a matter of time before he falls to the ground. At a glance, others may mistakenly think that Joes will still have some combat power there and can last for a while. But what is the actual situation of himself, Josna knows better than anyone. Not to mention whether he can continue to fight Bangu. Now he can't even get a bit of Haki. How can he continue to fight this not easy old man in such a situation? Joes really couldn't find any possibility of victory, and was full of despair about the next fate. How does this make him fight? No matter how you fight, you can't beat the opponent. Father, are you from the Rocks generation? Otherwise, why have I never heard of someone like you? Advertisement. Joes is really curious about this. It stands to reason that a peerless powerhouse like Bang Ji-yu is destined not to be a nameless existence, but to be a well-known figure. But Joes had never heard the name of the other party, as if he suddenly appeared in this world, inexplicably appeared in the Kamui pirates. This is too strange, isn't it? Bang Ji-yu squinted his eyes and said in a deep voice, "If you are willing to leave the Whitebeard pirates and join us, then this old man can think about it and tell you about it. 0 inches. After all, this old man treats his own people very well." Josh refused decisively, and even said with a sigh of disdain, Don't be wishful thinking, I will never agree to this kind of thing. Let me betray my father and go to Kronos. Only a fool would do such a thing. Bang Ji seems to feel sorry. Shaking his head again and again. Advertisement. A talent like you is indeed qualified to be a person on our side. Since you won't join, then you're the enemy, right? 0.0. Then, I won't be merciful. Are you ready to die? This seems to be the announcement of Bangu's death. Every word and every sentence in it is so cold that Yoja, the already famous powerhouse, can't help but sweat profusely. Joes gritted his teeth and resolutely turned the fruit ability to ultimate. Use all your power for defense. Advertisement. 289 The strongest blow, Lias Haoyan shattering fist. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Swish. With the ability of the diamond fruit to the ultimate, Joes seems to be wearing layers of shiny silver armor. That silver armor seems to have an indestructible defense, no matter whose fist is ineffective. For ordinary people, it is true. But, for a strong man like Bangu, who has already experienced hundreds of battles and has never known that he has encountered many similar strong enemies in his life, it is more than enough to solve Joes in this way. Flowing water rock shattering fist. Bangu's figure flashed. 30 disappear directly in place. When he reappeared, it was in front of Joes. Advertisement. Combining both skills and strength, it can be called the strongest blow Bangu has learned in his life. It is like being able to beat a mountain and a tiger, and instantly inflict serious injuries on Joes. This is impossible. Joes spat out a mouthful of blood. Flying backwards uncontrollably, he couldn't understand at all how the other party did this step. The diamond armor covering his body was unscathed. But the various organs inside his body have been dealt a fatal blow. This kind of thing. It's too weird, isn't it? What a move, Lias Haoyan shattering fist. Just after Joes finished saying this, he lost consciousness. The dignified Diamond Yoja is officially defeated. Advertisement. The two famous white team leaders, Beasta and Yoja, were defeated successively, causing the morale of the white team pirates to drop to the bottom. A feeling of despair spread among the crowd. When things got to this point, hardly a pirate would think they would still win. This battle, they are defeated. Completely defeated. Although this is an indisputable fact, it is difficult for the white group pirates to accept this, and one by one almost collapsed. Senju Hashirama and others stepped up their offensive efforts, united with other partners, and defeated a group of remnants of the defeated army. At the end, most of the people in the white group fell to the ground, and all the captains who could name them were knocked to the ground without exception. There are also some captains who are more unlucky, and they are killed just like this, and they may not even know how they died. Among the captains, only Marco is left with fighting power. But even so, because the opponent is Uchiha Madara, Marco's situation is not so good, and the situation is quite dangerous. Advertisement. As we all know, Uchiha Madara is one of the most dangerous characters in the Kamui Pirates. This man is said to be Kronos' absolute henchman and one of the strongest thugs. I don't know how many long-established marine powerhouses have fallen to Uchiha Madara's hands one after another. The outstanding record has fully proved that Uchiha Madara is by no means an ordinary person, and this strength can be called unprecedented. Marco, I think you 933 don't worry about other people, you should worry more about yourself. Don't you think you're in a very dangerous situation right now? Uchiha Madara said coldly with his hands on his back. Marco stared at Uchiha Madara with a stern look, then wiped the blood from his mouth with a grim expression, and said, Uchiha Madara, it's better if you don't talk too much about some things. As of now, we still have a chance to turn around. Before Marco could finish his sentence, Uchiha Madara burst into laughter. Do you still think that you can't win even now? For the time being, let's not say whether you can beat me, all of your partners are down. Advertisement. 290 Marco, you guys are over. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Every word spoken by Uchiha Madara. It's like an invisible sword. Makes Marco's heart aches. Don't lie to yourself there. You Whitebeard pirates are over. 1 inch. This honeycomb island belongs to our Kamui pirates. The wild laughter and the indomitable attitude made Marco very angry. Advertisement. The Whitebeard pirates have been on this honeycomb island for over 20 years. At the beginning, when Whitebeard had not yet risen, he chose to rise in the place of Honeycomb Island, and thus ascended the throne of the Supreme Pirate Emperor step by step. It's not too much to say the land of Longxing. And now Uchiha Madara is in front of him, saying that he wants to occupy this Honeycomb Island. Doesn't this show that they are not treated as human beings? Uchiha Madara squinted his eyes. His attitude was still so arrogant. He waved his fist and said, "Of course, some things depend on the fist after all. Since you are not satisfied, then I will beat you until you are satisfied." After saying this, I saw the Susanoo behind Uchiha Madara, who can suppress all things, broke out with an indescribable power, and his fist was like a shooting star, hitting Marco. "I won't be afraid of you." After Marco roared, the pair of wings behind him exuded a special blue flame, and also burst out with a terrifying speed, once again fighting with Uchiha Madara. Advertisement. After successfully defeating the main force of the White Regiment, Senju Hashirama and others began to feel that things were a bit boring, and everyone did not know whether to help Uchiha Madara next, or just let Uchiha Madara and Marco continue to fight. No matter what, Marco is a big pirate with a bounty of more than 1 billion. Even if it is Uchiha Madara, it is not something that can be done in a short time to defeat Marco in one fell swoop. Bang Ji-yu dragged his chin and said slowly, "Why don't we find an opportunity to kill and help Uchiha Madara to speed up the fight?" Wu Tiaowu immediately felt very interesting when he heard this, and nodded again and again, saying, "So good, so good." From the war to the present, Wuho Satoru has been fighting against all kinds of miscellaneous fish captains. He has long felt very tired, and wants to find some powerful players to fight against. However, capable captains like Beasta and Joes were all picked by other partners, which made him all empty. This made Gojo Satoru very depressed. What's the use of just solving some trash fish? It's not good to take credit in front of Captain Kronos. Advertisement. When the time comes back to the boat, Wuho Satoru is embarrassed to say to Kronos that he has successfully killed many captains of trash fish. However, Senju Hashirama, who knew Uchiha Madara well, stopped them. That guy has never liked others to meddle in his battles. If we help him at this time, it will only hurt him and make him feel extremely uncomfortable. As an old enemy for many years, but also a good friend, Senju Hashirama knows better than everyone present, Nuo Haohao, what is his old friend thinking about. For a fighting maniac like Uchiha Madara, the most unacceptable thing is that someone intervenes in his battle. To use a metaphor, it's as if Uchiha Madara was happily eating when someone ran over to disturb him. As a result, Uchiha Madara must be unhappy. Seeing that Senju Hashirama had said so, Gojo Satoru and the others who wanted to take action gave up the idea of taking action. Advertisement. 291 Whitebeard's Last Stand. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Although most of the main force of the White Regiment has been defeated at present, it can be said that the army cannot be defeated. Right now, there are only 2 people on the battlefield, still struggling to support them. One person is naturally Marco, who still grit his teeth and plan to fight with Uchiha Madara to the end. As for the other person, it must be the number 1 man in the world, Whitebeard. At this time, Whitebeard's situation is not very good. When he first started to fight, he might be able to rely on the old eyes and full combat experience to deal with Kronos. But over time, this advantage brought by experience will disappear little by little. What's more, Kronos himself is not that weak, he is also a battle-hardened strong man. The most terrible thing is that because Whitebeard himself is plagued by strange diseases, and because of his old age, 933 cannot exert his original strength at all. The strength that Whitebeard can display now is not as good as that of him when he was young. How Whitebeard couldn't beat Kronos at all? Anyone with a discerning eye could see that this guy, who was called the strongest man by the world, was only defeated sooner or later. Advertisement. After 10 hours had passed, Whitebeard had begun to lose his strength, and his huge body began to crumble. More and more wounds on the body. Blood keeps flowing. An old monster from a previous era. About to fall. Entering DAAA, the scene of everyone's vision seems to be silently saying something. Whitebeard? No way. Compared to Whitebeard, Kronos' physical condition is obviously much better. Although Kronos was injured a little, it wasn't fatal. And also showed a more than enough, the whole body is full of energy. Advertisement. Not only did he not show any signs of exhaustion on his face, he also had a look full of fighting spirit. Compare the two. Judgment. The white group pirates who were on the verge of being beaten were speechless after witnessing this scene. Looks like Whitebeard is dying, he won't last long. The number one man in the world is nothing more than that. He must not be able to beat our captain. The crew of the Kamui pirates all smiled proudly, thinking that the day of Whitebeard's defeat has come, and sooner or later he will be defeated by Kronos. What bullshit is the world's number one man, who is not our captain's opponent in the end? One of the trainee crew members, Cantor, burst into laughter. The era of Whitebeard is over, and this era belongs to Captain Kronos. The Whitebeard pirates are out of date. Advertisement. Another trainee crew member, Asak, firmly believes that his idea is correct, and feels that the Kamui pirates will soon replace all the positions of the original Whitebeard pirates. Almost everyone is optimistic about Kronos, and they don't think Whitebeard has a chance to come back and win. Even at this point, Whitebeard isn't going to throw in the towel. Quote. It's not so easy to admit defeat. 1 inch. Whitebeard stomped the ground hard. Immediately, the ground cracked, and a lot of cracks appeared. The continuously overflowing powerful momentum and the cold and ruthless murderous aura seemed to tell others that the legendary existence named Whitebeard did not intend to surrender just like that. Kronos sneered and said, "Whitebeard, you can't stand it anymore, but you're still here, right? I don't think you'll give up until the end." Advertisement. 292. The time that belongs to you is long gone. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. I can't figure it out. You obviously can't beat me. What do you have to do with me? Do you really think that you are still the number one man in the world? Do not. You are old. It has to be said that Kronos' remarks are really lethal. Especially the last sentence, which almost made Whitebeard faint. In fact, Whitebeard knew very well in his heart that he was no longer the Whitebeard who could lead the pirate group and would fight with Marine to the end. Today, he is just a stinky old man who wants to protect his family, that's all. If it wasn't for his family, Whitebeard would have accepted his fate long ago. However, even in such a desperate situation, Whitebeard still has to persevere, and he must cut a bloody path through it. Advertisement. Captain, there is no need to say anything more to this dead man. In my eyes, he is just a dead old man who can step into the coffin at any time. That's all, that's all. 1. Whitebeard clenched his sword, his eyes twinkling with determination. It's the time of Captain Kronos. Old days. Sure to shock the world. Kronos will not be afraid of each other, nor will he be merciful, and will play against Whitebeard like this. Looking at this from the side, it is enough to prove that the strength of Kronos and Whitebeard is terrifying. His speed is shown to ultimate. The next moment. If this is the case, then the identities of these people will also rise, which is a better thing. It's time to decide the winner. Advertisement. The trainee crew has always been Kronos sycophants, and they all hope that Kronos can surpass Whitebeard and become a man like Roger. This is the final blow. It is also one of the most wanted islands for pirate emperors. Because Honeycomb Island is one of the largest islands in the world. Yes, the era that belongs to that old guy is long outdated. But one thing is certain, it is really not an easy thing to destroy the Honeycomb Island to this point. Rox occupied this place and treated it as a nest, so as to create his own ace pirate group and take a step against the Celestial Dragon's family. In the following period of time, Whitebeard, who still did not feel that the defeat was set, continued to launch round after round of fierce attacks on Kronos as if he was possessed. The powerful and unimaginable armament hockey then covered the entire fist, presenting an extremely terrifying feeling. Go ahead, Whitebeard. Kronos moves. Advertisement. This peak match lasted a full day and night. This battle should also come to a successful end. Kronos took a deep breath and concentrated all his strength on the next blow. Let me see, who is stronger? 0. Fast as thunder. Albedo snorted coldly, and said in dissatisfaction. 0 for flowers. 00. It is said that among the Honeycomb Islands, there are treasures left by the rocks. As for whether this rumor is true or false, no one knows. Bring it on. After this battle, Honeycomb Island is considered half abandoned. With the two of them at the center, the place for a few miles is almost destroyed beyond recognition. Words about this. Advertisement. 293. The strongest man, lost again. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. On the other side, Whitebeard was going to try his best. The last fight. The moment the two collided, there was a loud explosion. Deafening. The surrounding ground continued to collapse. The entire Honeycomb Island is about to collapse. At this moment, countless eyes are gathered here. No matter who it is, at this moment in time, the attention is drawn to what is happening there. Uchiha Madara and Ju-san, Marco, who were playing against each other, couldn't help but stop and put their eyes on that place. Dad will definitely win. Marco can only comfort himself like this, hoping for a miracle to happen. Advertisement. But in fact, Marco himself is also very clear that the possibility of Whitebeard's comeback is basically equal to zero. Whitebeard is finished. Uchiha Madara made his own judgment with a blank face. Accompanied by a creepy sound, I saw a huge figure leave the ground and fly towards the distance at an astonishing speed, and it even brought out a series of blood flowers as it flew backwards. The crowd widened their eyes. Clearly visible. That, it is Whitebeard. Whitebeard's body was like a kite with a lost string. Covered in blood. Weakly fell to the ground. Can't even move. If it weren't for the members who were still breathing faintly, everyone would subconsciously think that Whitebeard might just fall because of this, maybe. This result was unacceptable to the White Group pirates, and they all burst into tears. For them, Whitebeard is not only their father, but also the closest relative in their hearts. Advertisement. Although they have no blood relationship with Whitebeard, everyone really treats Whitebeard as a real father. More kissable than my own father. Now Whitebeard was beaten with blood all over his body and looked like he was dying. That misery. Don't let them watch it. The world's #1 man. Lost like that. Unbelievable. It's impossible. It must be fake. Josh, who had just woken up, saw this scene, and he was directly angry and spit out blood. Thump. Joe's fainted again. This result, for this famous captain, is unacceptable no matter what. Dad is the strongest. He won't lose, he won't. Advertisement. This was the last sentence of Joe's before he fell into a coma, and it was also the voice of many captains. 0. In the 20 years since Roger's death, when people talk about pirates, it must be Whitebeard. No one will doubt that Whitebeard has the possibility to compete for One Piece. Even Marines people felt that as long as Whitebeard had the heart, it was very possible to replace Roger's original position and become the new One Piece. After all, Whitebeard's strength is there, and with his strength and prestige, he can always respond at any time. 20 years. 20 full years. The legendary existence with the strongest pirate, the world's #1 man, and infinitely close to the title of One Piece. Now, was he actually defeated by a guy who just went to sea for less than a year? Who can accept this change? 0.0. Has our era finally passed? As the new strongest pirate about to be born, Beasta, who seemed to be tied up like a mummy, glanced at Kronos in the distance with no expression, and sighed in his heart. Beasta had thought that this day would come. After all, no matter how good his father was, he would also fall that day. Advertisement. The end of the 294 War, the unwilling Marco. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. A legend as strong as Roger, didn't he also lose to injury? Well, let alone Whitebeard. No one can stand until the end, and no one pirate group can stand on the top of the world and rule most of the sea. Possible. Whitebeard pirates. This invincible pirate group that has been invincible all over the world. It should be time. Retired from the stage of history. This day has come too fast. Beasta let out a bitter cry, and his heart was full of unwillingness and helplessness. With Whitebeard's defeat, Marco, who was originally interested in continuing to fight, completely gave up. Dad lost. Ha ha ha. Although Marco was laughing in his 30s, his face was full of sadness. Advertisement. As the old man of the Whitebeard pirates. This way down. Marco has really regarded the pirates as his home. Home seems to be gone. How does this make Marco acceptable? At the same time, it also gave Marco a bleak feeling. Originally they could only pin everything on Whitebeard's victory, hoping that the latter would show off Kamui and defeat Kronos in one fell swoop. If that's the case, then they could still turn around. But all of this, after Kronos defeated Whitebeard dignifiedly, declared the end of the war, which would end with Kronos' victory. The Whitebeard pirates can't beat the Kamui pirates after all. After a day and night of fighting, Whitebeard's body has reached its limit. The confrontation just now used up all of Whitebeard's physical strength. Kronos strode like a shooting star to Whitebeard. You have to fight for 2 or 3 days. Absolutely not. Laughed. Advertisement. Result. Do not. The battle just now is the best proof. I admit it. Whitebeard was convinced of defeat, sighed, and said, in this world, what kind of eternal kingship is there? 1. To be precise, he was a legendary existence who used to be the #1 man in the world, but now he can't even stand up. But now, at least. Boring. It's really not okay to be old. I'm not as good as you. Have you ever thought about this day? The world's #1 man, who has attracted much attention, is lying quietly in a big pit. Whitebeard, Whitebeard. Advertisement. Uchiha Madara shook her head, feeling extremely disappointed. He will never lose so fast. Marco lost without a fight. If this is at a young age. An opponent with no intention of fighting, so Uchiha Madara is not interested at all. Originally, Uchiha Madara thought that this battle would last for a long time, at least for 3 days and 3 nights. In the face of Marco, who had lost all his fighting spirit, Uchiha Madara had no intention of continuing to shoot. Even if he returns to his prime, he is unlikely to be a match for Kronos. Several white team leaders, who were obviously beaten and covered in injuries, rushed over in a hurry, ignoring how badly they were injured. It would be better to say that it has been quite difficult for him to survive until now. Old and sick, he is no match for Kronos at all. At this time. After saying the last sentence, Whitebeard seemed to have exhausted all his strength, and he felt extremely empty. Whitebeard fell to the ground, sighing inwardly. Although Whitebeard hated Kronos immensely, the opponent's strength was indeed very strong, and he was indeed not the opponent's opponent. Advertisement. 295 Daddy must never have an accident. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. These white team leaders only have Whitebeard's safety in their eyes now, and they don't care about their own situation at all. Maybe for these white team leaders, Whitebeard's life is above their lives. They can die, but nothing can happen to Daddy. Don't shoot at Dad. Joes roared angrily. If you want to kill Dad, then step over my corpse. Beasta also said coldly. In fact, after the hard battle just now, whether it was Joes or Beasta, their physical strength had reached the limit. It was even life-threatening. But even so, they came forward at this most dangerous time, even knowing that they might be killed by Kronos just like that. Advertisement. They won't regret it either. Bang Ji-yu also said coldly, with a little killing intent in those eagle-like eyes. Joes and the other captains have basically fought. Since the Summit War, the contradictions between the two sides have accumulated to the point where they cannot be eased. With such a deep hatred, I hope that Whitebeard and the others will let go of their hatred so that they will not be enemies with the Kamui pirates. However, what is unexpected is that Kronos never thought of killing Whitebeard at this time. You are not admitting defeat. Do you want to fight us? That's fine. I should have killed you then. Such a thing is unbelievable. Senju Hashirama's eyes widened in disbelief. From the beginning, Kronos never intended to take the life of the world's #1 man. Advertisement. Very impressed. Kronos in a flat tone. Looking at Beasta and the others, Whitebeard couldn't help being moved, unable to utter a complete sentence for a while. Even in the face of a great crisis, the enemy must be blocked. It is comparable to wishing the sun to come out from the west. To have such a good sun. It is possible that the combat effectiveness that is exerted now cannot even be beaten by a single soldier. To be an enemy of Kronos is to be an enemy of them, whether it is Bangu or this genius swordsman following the fate of the country, it is intolerable. Ha ha ha, it's really interesting now. I didn't expect that the defeated generals in the past would still have the courage to stand up. Ji Guiwan said coldly. He couldn't see it there. Advertisement. It is the blessing of his life. Knowing the two of them can tell that the two of them are really motivated to kill, and they really plan to kill the two captains in front of Whitebeard. Whitebeard was almost moved to tears. Captain, did you really let Whitebeard and the others go? Isn't this a joke? The other crew members also thought it was too incredible. It was obvious that they and the Whitebeard pirates Guan, Nuo Hao Jiao, line had already reached the point where they would never die, so the two sides fought a lot. You go. None of them thought that Kronos would let Whitebeard's confidant go away at such a critical moment. It is precisely because of this. Not to mention that in this war, many white pirates have already died at the hands of Senju Hashirama. This moment, the Kamui pirates and the Whitebeard pirates, two unprecedentedly powerful transcendental pirates, were all shocked. Saying this sentence, let everyone unexpectedly say something. Advertisement. 296 Let go Whitebeard. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Not only the crew of the Kamui pirates felt incredible about this, but even the people from the Whitebeard pirates were also a little unacceptable. When Whitebeard was completely defeated, all the crew members, including Marco, felt that their pirate group was doomed, and from then on there was one less for Emperor's group. After all, they still knew that Kronos was a ruthless person, and if they offended him, nothing would come of it. I don't know how many powerful forces in the past, just because they offended Kronos, they were either annexed or their existence was obliterated. Even today's Marine is afraid of Kronos' power, and dare not even say a word of cruelty. That is why. Marco, they can't believe it. Why? Such a person would say let them go. I must have heard wrong. Marco squeezed his face hard, and obviously felt a little pain, but he still felt that he was living in a dream. Advertisement. What the hell is this guy Kronos thinking about? Well, why did you let us go all of a sudden? There must be something wrong with this thing. Just curiously asked. Gojo Satoru was saying this. Joe shook his head, too, finding Kronos' actions suspicious. If Kronos said this from a few days ago, then I believe that whether it is Marco or other white group pirates, they will think that the other party is joking, because this kind of thing is in their subconscious, absolutely things that won't happen. At this time, in its tiger eyes, there is obvious anger. Are you humiliating me on purpose? He didn't care about the presence of Marco and the others. The battle just now had completely defeated them. Dream. Advertisement. Marco and the others fell silent, because they all knew that Gojo Satoru was right, and with their temper, they would never let the Kamui pirates go. I think you know it yourself. If you don't accept it, you have to accept it. Kronos. These words are extremely overbearing. It seems that at this moment, in front of everyone, there is a Kun Emperor facing the sea. What do you mean? Whitebeard could not understand the other party's intentions, but also felt strangely angry, thinking that Kronos was insulting Whitebeard's name by letting them go like this. Once you are hated by them, it will bring endless trouble if you don't cut the weeds like this. At this time, Kronos shrugged indifferently, and said, if I can beat them once, I can win a second time. Even if they challenge me again one day, it will be the same result. Captain, why do you think so? Can you tell us? Advertisement. Directly in front of them, he simply said it neatly. Staring at Kronos. Word by word. His aura, the pirate emperor that surpasses everything. Never my opponent. The Whitebeard pirates are a bunch of tough guys. Gojo Satoru can't help it. Why don't you kill me and let me go? Whitebeard didn't know the power coming from there, and suddenly stood up. But, the Whitebeard pirates are a group of losers after all. Even though he has gone through so many things, he doesn't know how many partners he has died at the hands of Kronos. So how could they possibly be willing to let this hatred and forgive Kronos and the others? Advertisement. 297 The defeat is set, and I flee in embarrassment. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Who knows what the world would think of Whitebeard if it really got out? Old friends like Kaido and Charlotte Linlin would definitely be taunting him in secret once they got the news. Whitebeard would rather die on the battlefield like this than surrender like this. It's so embarrassing to do this. When Whitebeard was furious, the next sentence Kronos said was like a basin of cold water, which made Whitebeard calm down all of a sudden, and the previous impulse and anger disappeared all at once. Have you ever thought about your own son? Kronos rode. In the future, the island of Honeycomb Island will belong to me. Is there any problem? 1. Just when Whitebeard was confused, Kronos suddenly threw a punch and hit Whitebeard in the belly. Advertisement. This simple sentence made by Huzi suddenly think of it. A few days ago, Honeycomb Island was still the base camp of the Whitebeard pirates. Immediately following, under the extremely heavy atmosphere, Marco with a dignified expression left here in a very embarrassed manner with the remnants of the defeated general. 0 for flowers 00. This punch Kronos didn't show his full strength, only half of his strength, so Whitebeard just lost consciousness and fainted temporarily, not dying on the spot at all. Or should I go back? Should go in. So how miserable are they? If he died in this battle to the end, what would his sons do? Whitebeard suddenly didn't know what to do. Advertisement. After the Whitebeard remnants were evacuated, Uchiha Madara, who was really upset, turned his head to look at Kronos, and said, "Captain, you shouldn't let them go." 0. There are only 5 members of the Kamui pirates, and they are like this. Marco, take your people and leave. Like Jigyu Ueni who defeated him, there are countless more powerful people like this. He is not alone. Kronos was serious and said very seriously. Beasta didn't dare to think about it any longer. Seeing this, Marco's expression became extremely complicated. He really didn't know whether to be sad or relieved. After hitting the punch, Whitebeard vomited blood again and fainted. Compared with Joe's, who wants revenge from Ishin, Beasta realizes that there is a huge gap in strength between them and the Kamui pirates, and there may be no chance for revenge in this life. Advertisement. Simply a dilemma. Boom. Now, does Marco dare to say no? Marco sighed, and after exchanging glances with the crew behind him, he nodded silently, acknowledging the issue of the Beehive Island's ownership. What happened on this day? I will never forget Joe's for the rest of my life. Dad's life was saved like this. I really don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing. Marco took a deep look at Whitebeard, but he felt very uncomfortable. If only the Kamui pirates had been real from the start, instead of just sending 5 people. Beasta really thought that they might be ashamed, but after the battle just now, he was completely convinced. As a result, in less than a day, my old nest was no longer my own, and in a blink of an eye it became someone else's territory. Joe's clenched his fist tightly, and blood flowed from his fingers. Advertisement. 298 We have to trust the captain. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. If you do this like this, you will undoubtedly return the tiger to the mountain. Kronos still insisted that his thoughts were right, and said lightly, "You just trust my judgment and let them go. They can't pose any threat to us anyway, do they?" Senju Hashirama said seriously, "As for what the reason is, I hope you can tell us, at least give us an idea, don't you?" Kronos, Ju San-chi, did not rush to explain all this, but turned around, glanced at Pain, and said, "Pain, come and tell them why I let Whitebeard and the others go." Pain looked like this, raised Erlang's legs, and told a piece of information that shocked everyone, saying, "Marine has come. If I'm not mistaken, Akainu and other admirals are among them." When these words came out, everyone was shocked. Advertisement. What? That guy Akainu is here too. I see. Albedo began to understand Kronos' intention, and said, "You mean, let Whitebeard and the others fight Marine to the death. If 2 tigers fight, one will be hurt, right?" When everyone heard this, they suddenly came to their senses, and couldn't help but side Kronos' strategy. Kronos actually didn't think so far, but seeing everyone said so, he simply coughed and admitted it. "Yes, I deliberately let Whitebeard and the others go, just to let them meet Marine. Once Marine meets someone from the Whitebeard pirates, he will definitely not let this big fish go. I will definitely use all my strength to wipe out Marco and the others. Besides, you should remember what kind of person Akainu is." Advertisement. Having said that, Kronos felt that he was a little thirsty, so after drinking a drink to clear his throat, he began to analyze the current situation in a serious manner, saying, "Akainu is a fierce marine who has a hot temper. He has always been extreme in things. I wish all the pirates in this world would die. A man as dangerous and famous as Whitebeard is undoubtedly a delicious meat for Marine. Let me ask, what would you think if Akainu and the others knew the news that all the members of the Baitwan were scarred?" Uchiha Madara nodded and said, "In other words, do you want to pick up leaks?" Kronos smiled and did not answer the question directly. Instead, he looked at the ocean in the distance with an unfathomable expression and said, "Let's continue to watch this good show. Anyway, we are the active side from beginning to end. Whether it is Marine or the Whitebeard pirates, something will definitely happen to the 2 of them, and there will be no good end." Kronos remarks. Point 0. Get everyone's blood boiling. Whether it's the Whitebeard pirates or the Marines headed by Akainu, they're all destined to be bad. Advertisement. Once these two forces meet, something will definitely happen. It can't be safe. 0.0 inches hum. If that's the case, that's fine. Uchiha Madara now has no resentment at all, but thinks that Kronos is a good idea. As expected of the captain. Gojo Satoru even gave a thumbs up. At this time, Ilya was very happy to fly over and bring good news to everyone. Advertisement. 299 Occupy the Honeycomb Island. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Everyone. 1. Those white ball pirates didn't seem to have time to remove the supplies, so they left a lot of wine. A drinker like Senju Hashirama immediately drools upon hearing the drink. Wine. Is there wine there? Senju Hashirama said excitedly. Except for the crew members like Pain and Jigyu Ueni who are only interested in combat, everyone else has a strong interest in the materials left by the Whitebeard pirates. After all, although the Whitebeard pirates couldn't beat them, they were the strongest pirates in the past, and they must have a lot of background. The accumulation of these 20 years alone is enough for many pirates to accumulate in a lifetime. It has to be said that Kronos had a really good luck with their 30. Maybe it was Marco and the others who left too quickly, or maybe they didn't dare to take any supplies, so they left the huge supplies to Kronos and the others. Advertisement. Coincidentally, the Whitebeard pirates, just in order to deal with the dangerous situation, transferred a large amount of materials from all over the world, that is, to prepare for a big battle. As the strongest pirate force today, with just one word from Whitebeard, with his prestige in the sea, he will definitely be able to get unimaginably huge supplies. However, this is enough material to be rich enough to be an enemy, and all of them have become wedding dresses, and they have become the spoils of Kronos. The crew of the Kamui pirates burst into laughter. Not only wine, but also all kinds of war preparation materials. Most importantly, there are actually 10 billion Baileys. With so many Baileys, the overall power of their Kamui pirates will surely be able to reach a new level. Of course, Kronos knows better than anyone what the biggest takeaway is this time around. Advertisement. It's the island called Honeycomb Island. Because the island of Honeycomb Island is so special, for many old pirates today, it is like a pirate holy land. Whether it's the former island owner Rox, who ruled 40 years ago, or in Whitebeard, who had just been kicked out of the island. The two men have one obvious thing in common. That is to rely on the Honeycomb Island as a base to develop its own power, and then step by step to dominate the sea, destroy and annex all forces. Therefore, the greatest value of Honeycomb Island is not because the island has various resources, but because of its symbolic meaning. Again, Honeycomb Island is the most central place in New World. Advertisement. This area can be said to be a battleground for military families. If anyone can control this place, then they can use this as a springboard to attack other forces in one fell swoop. That's why, veteran 4 emperors like Kaido and Charlotte Linlin, who have no shortage of turf, also want to get Honeycomb Island. Because this place is too important for New World. 937. Knowing this, Kronos set its true purpose from the start, and that was to take full control of the Honeycomb Island. Once this matter is spread out, I believe that all pirate forces will begin to realize that Whitebeard is old, and Kronos has replaced this extremely strong signal. Also, the reason why Kronos didn't kill Whitebeard, and let Whitebeard go like this, was not just for them to fight Marine. A veteran 4 emperors who have lost their former glory and are heavily scarred will suddenly become the target of pirates. Supernovas, Shichibukai, or other 4 emperors, all want to take Whitebeard's head to prove their power. Advertisement. 300 Whitebeard is F-Ked. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Kronos also didn't think Whitebeard's age could recover as quickly as he was young. Even if Whitebeard were given a few more months, it would be impossible to regain his full stance. Not to mention that apart from Whitebeard himself, the other captains are also scarred. Under such circumstances, how long can the Whitebeard pirates survive? Albedo seemed to have guessed her captain's true intentions, and said thoughtfully, I see, you pushed Whitebeard out and treated him as a bait, didn't you? Kronos snapped his fingers and said with a smile, yes, as you said, I just intend to use that old guy as a bait to attract the firepower of pirates all over the world. 1. After that, we can do nothing, and someone will help us clean up Whitebeard. Albedo admired the captain more and more, nodded and sighed, saying, "This move is really clever, it's completely a strategy to kill with a knife." Not long after, the Kamui pirates, who completely defeated the powerful enemy, held a banquet directly on Honeycomb Island. Advertisement. Anyway, they got so many materials, they can't use it at all, right? Compared to the elated Kamui pirates. The remnants of the white group who had just escaped from the Honeycomb Island in embarrassment all looked listless. There are several captains among them, and they even have the heart to die. This battle. What a shame for the entire Whitebeard pirates. It's unacceptable. Why are things like this? Damn it. The white group pirates are extremely sad. Advertisement. If you lose, you lose. But it was lost to the Kamui pirates. After this battle, God knows how the outside forces will laugh at them secretly. And they are still very clear that over the years, their Whitebeard pirates have offended many underground forces in order to maintain their current rule. If they still have strong forces, then no matter how unhappy those enemies are, they won't come to the door, because they all know that doing so is undoubtedly seeking death and seeking death. But the situation is different now. After this battle, I believe that all forces will realize that, whether it is the whole pirate group or Whitebeard himself, there is no such degree of dominance back then. This situation. It's like a sick tiger. About to be hunted by other animals like prey. What happened next was exactly what Kronos had expected. Advertisement. Sure enough, Akainu, who came with the army, used some secret means to accidentally learn that Whitebeard had lost the battle and was evacuating from Honeycomb Island. As soon as the news reached the Marine fleet, any Marine Vice Admiral realized that this might be a huge opportunity to destroy the world's #1 man. To Marine, Whitebeard's presence is like a thorn in their throats that makes them uncomfortable. Now, the opportunity has finally come. They can wipe out the confidant of Baihu, Nuomo's son. This guy Whitebeard is dead. God help me too. If we can master this wonderful opportunity and take down the thief Whitebeard, then the shame caused by the Summit War will be washed away in an instant. Yes, we must not miss this opportunity, we must strike hard. The Marine Vice Admirals were very excited, and they all blushed, and they were about to cleanse their shameful nephew at this moment. Advertisement.